Like it was a level up. Like I'd never experienced.
Dyer and BOWYER fought? Was you there?
No, leave that.
Get there.
All right, listen, mate. We're gonna need you to start taking
Get the
touch.
TA, man. Get the TA.
All right.
Hi, hello. Looney.
I forgot.
Looney. Can you count to 3, please, and calm down, please? Calm to 3 and
That's
calm
your
down.
TA.
Okay.
That's your TA.
Do you want to go outside for a walk? Wait. Do you want to go outside for a walk? Let's go to the playground and play some football, and then we'll come back in 10 minutes.
We're not the boss. We're being asked to do the tick-a-tacker, but we just want the big Dyer.
Busquets and Xavi, can you do it?
He's so deluded, he thought we were Barca.
We are not
He thought
Barca.
we're stoked, mate.
No, we're not.
Proud of it.
Yeah, we are stoked. We are stoked.
We're the best in the business. We are Barcelona. MSN.
We don't play like them.
Yes, we do. Tiki-taki.
We play
Everyone
like
wants
old
a
Man
touch.
United.
Everyone wants a touch.
Mourinho's Chelsea, we are.
We're Mourinho's Chelsea.
No, we're not.
We are, man.
We're Benitez is Liverpool. Resilient.
Liverpool,
We're
man.
Brazilian. Benitez is Liverpool.
Jesus Christ.
We're resilient.
Boys, we are filthy fellas.
Wait, why have I not got a blue cup as well?
What do you mean? I don't know.
You see what I mean?
bro.
Like, look, it's already gone. Episode's already gone.
Wait, can I get a blue cup, please? I want to feel like everybody else. Thank you.
Thanks, Jermaine.
No problem.
Why is it ice in this cup? Why is it ice? He's got bare questions. How old is she? This one.
There you go. Oh no.
What's he done?
TA.
He needs a TA.
I'm the people's champion, bro. I'm telling you, this is what I teach the kids.
What?
To drink.
Water, to drink water.
We've been saying it though. You've been calling for it. An absolute nutcase on filthy.
Yeah, and you're here. I wanted an alcoholic, but we got the next best thing, John.
That's me, baby.
We're here, filthy. Another special guest, boys. We're on a roll. It's Mr. Jermaine Jenas in the building right now.
Yeah, how do you prefer JJ?
Jermaine Jenas. Just call me JJ, man. It's
Yeah,
cool.
see how do you prefer JJ?
JJ. I feel like I know you, like we're friends.
Why is that?
Because he told me I can call him JJ.
Okay.
Nicknames.
All right, then. So, Jermaine, JJ, we're all started. 17 years old, debut, hometown, same ends as Robin Hood.
Sherwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nottingham.
Chat to us about what that's like, man, growing up in Nottingham and then getting to represent him at such a young age.
Yeah, it was mad because I was at the club from like 9, so I think that going through the centre of excellence and then eventually kind of like when you get that call to kind of go and represent your team is your city really was mad. And also on top of that, it was there was 2 names really in my age group in Nottingham, and it was me and Pennant. We're the only 2 names that people were really talking about.
Same age?
Yeah, we're the same. Listen, I grew up with Pennant. Like, me and Pennant played in the same local team together. When we were 10. That kid was like nothing I've ever seen in my life.
Can still play as well, innit?
Yeah, he can still ball. Like he's one of those kids, never got injured. Just he was first whiz kid that I came across really. But yeah, I think that when I'll never forget that call. Really, it was around Christmas time, and David Platt was the manager, and Paul Hart was like, "Listen, you got to come in Christmas Day." And I was like, "Okay," because what usually happens, all the Irish boys and the Scottish boys, they all kind of go home to their families and stuff. So I came in Christmas Day, and I didn't know what he was going to do. I thought I was going to be joining maybe like Resi's or First Team or something. And he goes, "All right, so you're going to do a run." And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, so around the Forest pitch, they used to do this thing called a 12-minute run, which is basically you just run as hard as you can. Run as hard as you can for 12 minutes. You all know it. It's
Hold on, what do you
viral.
mean as hard as you can?
12-minute Cooper run, literally. You just got as much laps as possible.
I'm not sure if you've done it, but we had to get a minimum of, I think, 8 laps.
Yeah, it's like 12. Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
minute,
You're trying
minimum.
to do 12 miles in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to achieve,
Yeah,
which is
bruv.
mad, basically.
Yeah, man.
So you just keep going as fast as you can, 12 minutes, and like Steve said, there's like a minimum. So I've finished it, and as I finished, I got back to kind of like where the tunnel is at Forest, and there's a pile of boots. All the first team boots are there, right? And it's just me. And to be fair, my manager at the time, Paul Hart, he was just a hot bucket of water and me, and he was like, right, just clean those boots. So I'm scrubbing up all these boots. I'm thinking, I'm pissed. I thought I was going to be playing. What's going on here?
Yeah, this is crazy.
Should be with your family eating turkey.
Scrubbing up all these boots, cleaned them up, put them in the drying room. Obviously, there's not many buses running. I had to ride my bike there and then rode my bike home. And then next thing, like New Year's comes along and it's like cup games are coming up. And we're playing Wolves at home. And I again, I didn't even know I was even part of the squad, but I got a phone call on the night before saying, you're in the squad. So make sure you're in on time, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, okay, you know, be on the bench, at best. Turned up, David Platt calls me into his office. He's like, you're starting. That's
What
it.
position?
So I was on the right wing. I was on the right wing in the game, and I was like, tickets. I needed tickets ASAP. Do you know what I mean? Like, but all my mum, my family, all my friends came. And yeah, I mean, that time when I stood in that tunnel, just like thinking, I am walking
What was
out.
your first number? Shirt number.
36. Yeah, 36. I kept it the whole time.
Mine was 36.
Yeah, I kept it. Yeah. So.
Mine was 36.
Oh, you know what? He always does this when as soon as we get a pro one.
Steve-O is always
He relates
on
to
a
everything.
mad team.
He's gonna relate to
Always.
everything.
2 already, yeah? What's that? 12-minute runs and 36.
Right.
We're at 2.
Right. What I'm saying is, I'm sorry, up until a certain age, I'm neck and neck with him.
You're what and what? Hold on. What was that? You're what and what?
Neck, that's mad. Yeah, okay.
Shoulder
what,
to
boy,
shoulder.
you know what? I'm
Shoulders
gonna-
to shoulder. Shoulders to
Steve,
shoulder.
you can chime in on this one. We asked the ballers this, especially the guys that kind of flourish early. Obviously, you still know about the game a lot now. How would you compare like when you was a young player to now with all the social media and all that kind of pressure? You can answer after Steve, because obviously Steve-O is the other end of the spectrum. The youth that never made it. No, don't get twisted. No. You got farther than me, but you're on that spectrum. You're.
What do you mean, bro?
I'm on a few
Bro,
spectrums.
don't make me tell you my name, bro. Check my name
Oh,
on
yeah, he
Gulu
played,
Gulu,
he
bro.
played, he played. He
Check
played
my name
as
on
well.
Gulu Gulu, bro.
But what's it?
What you talking about,
Do
bro?
you play first team?
Come, nah.
Okay, so it's different. It's different. It's different. It's different levels. But good
Who's going,
question.
me?
Good
Want me to
question.
go?
Yeah.
No, I think social media. Look, I grew up in an era where if you spoke as a footballer, you just got battered. You know, you could do an interview for like Match Magazine or Shoot or something, and you come into the dressing room and the lads are like, "Why are you talking again? You're always talking. What, like,
Yeah,
concentrate
man,
on
trust
playing
me.
the game."
Yep,
That was
yep.
the mindset then. But I would say thankfully kind of played in an era where there was no social media. I don't think there's any players that will sit there and go, I really enjoy social media kind of from a football perspective, because it's just too damaging.
Yeah.
It's way too damaging, and it's too personal. Like I used to go, you always go through phases in your career where you're just not playing well, and it's a time to get your head down and just do what you're doing. And for me, all I had to deal with was papers and radio, and like the odd pundit here and there. Just turn it off, get in my zone, do what I'm doing. But you know, I watched what Hector Bellerin went through at Arsenal at times when they kind of made him the scapegoat. I've watched kind of the whole thing with Harry Maguire of the last couple of years. I mean, that is like, they find it hard.
And many
You know,
more
I
as
know
well.
for a fact, having spoken to a lot of them, they find it difficult to be in a space where they know they're suffering, they know they're not playing well, and they've not just got to deal with walking out the tunnel and their own fans. Anybody can fire in and be making, and the memes as well.
Yeah, crazy.
The memes are just mad.
You just know you're gonna like. You're playing, thinking I might
Stand up,
become a meme.
stay on my feet. That's it. Stand up straight. You're playing, thinking stand up straight.
Don't you think kind of for like, obviously like the players you've mentioned, the Maguires, this is more like later on in their career. Like I kind of think social media to younger footballers is wouldn't say better, but I think we know like there's a lot more high profile young footballers now.
We're
And
as
I think
beneficial
because
as
of
this,
social
right? We're as
media.
beneficial. Remember when Raz was going through what he was, Raheem Sterling was going through what he was going through with the racial stuff, and I think it happened at Chelsea. And you know, you always had these situations as players where the press does chat rubbish. So it gives you that platform, doesn't it, to kind of go, let me just set the facts straight right now. On my own page where I've got 2 million people following me, this is what happened. I feel like that's pretty much the only benefit. And then obviously there's the benefits post your career. You know, back in the day, players were finishing their career and wanting to go buy a pub or buy property and whatever. Whereas now, you know, these players are essentially their own businesses.
Yeah, podcasters.
Podcasters, musicians, whatever.
If you were still playing at the peak of your career and social media's here, would you? It's 2 questions there. Would you have it? Would you use it? Like
100%.
And if you was a manager or you was agent or whatever, would you advise players now to even have it?
I would 100% answer the first question, because I think it's too powerful to not have it. And I think that it's important for all players to have a voice, whether it's about kind of social issues, supporting their own areas or talking about the game or whatever. So it's important to have it. But I think the other side to it is players like Rodri, where Rodri just seems to just go about his business. Don't have social media. Nobody really can contact him. He looks like a very stable individual.
Ballon d'Or.
Because you just can't get to him in a way. So there's two sides to it, and it all depends. These kids grow up with it. It's like my own kids. You know, my daughter, I can't take her to school without doing 10 Snapchats.
Yeah, man.
They got a streak. They got to do the Snapchat streak, and so because they've grown up with it, they're just so used to it. Whereas I was in that era where it's like, don't talk to the press. We keep it in house. This is private.
Can we run it back? So we got to his debut, right? And he's played his debut. I want to know how you done, what it was like.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to get that as a 17-year-old playing for your hometown club. You're a centre midfielder, but you're on the right wing.
Yeah.
How was that? Not how it was. How did you do?
No, I played well. We lost the game 1-0 to Wolves, and I hit the bar in the game, which was man, it was tough. Reedy actually whipped one in. I had to go at him because he.
Andy Reid,
Yeah, he
left foot mad.
bobbled it in. He could have just squared it nicely across the box, bobbled it in. Anyway, I hit the bar. But look, played well. It was one of those games that came off and was like, listen, this is me now. I can. I knew anyway though when I was in a youth team. Like anybody that's been in youth teams, they'll know like you play Saturday morning and then Saturday afternoon you go watch the first team. I used to just sit there every Saturday afternoon and be like, there's no way he's better than me in midfield. He's just not. And I just have to just wait and bide my time. And then when I got called into training, I remember kind of.
Centre midfielders then, sorry.
We had Andy Johnson, Chris Bart-Williams was in there.
I remember Chris Bart-Williams, Wednesday.
Yeah, and Bartman was a player. He was a proper player.
R.I.P.
Ricardo Shimiko was in there as well.
You're better than them
No,
guys.
I knew I was, but at the same time, I was slight and I didn't have the experience. Do you know what I mean? But in training, I remember when I went to join him in training, and we had a player called Gareth Williams, a midfielder, a Scottish boy. He was a good player, and he said to me, "Listen, just be careful," because he'd been in and around the first teams. He's obviously they've all heard my name. If I went into the changing room, they'd be like, "Yo, you're next, aren't you?" or whatever. Anyway, so I was gone into training. And Andy Johnson, he was a great guy, but he was like aggressive. He played for like Norwich and West Brom. And the ball was coming into me in midfield, and I'm like glancing over my shoulder because I'm thinking, I know someone's coming to lace me at some point. And he didn't let me down anyway. So the ball comes into me, and as he's come, I've just dragged it out the way, and he's come flying through. But it was like you had to earn your right.
I miss you though.
Earn your passage. Of course he missed me. Yeah. I swerved him. Yeah. Come on.
Would you say back then in the dressing rooms, it was bullying? Like so for some players, Jay, it was crazy for them.
Yeah,
innit?
it was bad, innit? I mean, I think like the youth team stuff, court
putting
cases.
the bin over people's heads,
It's court
lights
cases
out.
every day.
But you see what it is, and this is what it is. Like, I'm not saying but there's like players like they say the bad guys here. They just the guys that didn't have it. Do you get what I'm saying? The bin over the head. They
you mean
say
like-
you can't
what do you
do
mean,
that.
like a chip on their shoulder or whatever?
I don't
think it's that.
And then they got labelled as the bad players. Oh, these guys
Got a chip on their shoulder or
Yeah,
whatever.
they got a chip on their shoulder. You're not letting man put a bin on your head. I'm just here to play football. Do
you know what it is, though?
There was a couple of them.
Do you know what it is? It's more of that a 17-year-old youth team player is coming to take my spot.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
food
handle.
out of my mouth.
Like ball stool mentality.
I can't even feed my kids.
You can.
But you know what? You know what's crazy? You say that, but at the time, there was a couple players.
It's
I guess-
arrogance though.
There
Do
must
you
have
know
been
what
a few
I'm
players that thought like that, but we were all friends, man. Like I loved my boys in the youth team, you know.
saying? I didn't love my boys in the youth team
Okay.
because I want to play.
Okay,
That's
well,
the
yeah,
aim
maybe
of why you come
maybe
to
that's why I
football.
didn't make it.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I didn't make it.
So
That's
when
probably why.
remember, you need to understand how he's come in as a 17-year-old kid. They're just looking at him as a baby, bro. These are big men he's playing against, and he has to do his thing. Plus, worry about the man that are hating on him, bro. That's a tough job. And back then, football was serious, bro. Football's pussy now, bro. Football's weak now, bro.
Yeah, no, it's true. Back then, players you were getting absolutely smashed.
Double-footed.
No yellow.
Come on, bro. Training was just like a game day, bro.
You just have to earn your respect, though. You have to earn it. That's it. And I had the respect immediately. I mean, I was captain at 17 as well.
Whoa, first team.
Yeah. So it was like immediately when I kind of went in, they all knew I was coming. And when I arrived, and obviously when I got the armband and stuff, I remember getting it and thinking, oh, jeez, this is going to be mad when I go
Can
in
you
it.
say no though?
Well, I'm never going to say
not.
no.
Say
Anyway.
no?
I'm never going to say no, but I just thought,
Give me the money, man.
there's some serious players in here. We had like, experienced players. Marlon Harewood was in there, and
Shimika's a skipper.
Shimika
He's-
was a captain as well. But they all just was like, yeah, that's right.
Who did you support growing up?
My first team I ever supported was Liverpool.
Come here, man.
Did you know that?
Hold on, what does that mean?
Of course I knew that.
Hold on, what do you mean the first team I
Well,
ever
John Barnes was
supported?
my hero, right?
There you go. Right. Pause right there. Right. My
we go.
first
Here we
team
go.
I supported, hang about. My first team I supported was Arsenal.
Until what age?
Because Ian Wright was my hero.
Until
And then
what
when I
age?
got to, only for about 2 years, by the way.
What,
From
until
about-
you're 2 years old?
No, I started supporting, knowing football probably 1994, the world, no, 93.
How old was you?
How old, Steve?
How old was you?
Right? And then Ian Wright left and that, and then I was like, you know what? I started playing for QPR, and I was playing against Arsenal and all these things, and I thought, I don't want to support a team, to be honest with you, because I'm playing against them. It's mad as a young kid. Then I didn't support a team until I supported West Ham for the last 25 years, mate.
So Liverpool was my team because of John Barnes, right? But I could not go and watch them. Like I couldn't afford to leave Nottingham or my even estate. Never mind, go watch Liverpool. So in the end, like being part of like Centre of Excellence at Forest, they started to let us go to games for like £1 or something like that. And to be fair, Forest at the time had a good team. We had Collymore up top, Brian Roy was in the team,
Brian Roy, Cole,
Pearcey.
Steve Stone.
They were playing in Europe.
Steve
You know,
Stone.
we had like, Ian Wone. They had a good team.
Ian Wone.
So I used to go and watch them, and then eventually, obviously, the love, you know, for my own team started to kick in. So yeah, I'm a Forest fan now.
Why did you tell us you supported Liverpool first? That's the honest person. You didn't
Because
need to
I
tell
literally told him 2 minutes ago. That's
Oh,
why.
is it?
As a Forest fan, this is the closest
He
you're
would've
ever going to
snitched
get
as
to
well.
the Premier League.
Get off him, man. Get off him.
Talking
about? You know them older guys always hugging up.
Bro, he don't even know you like that, bro. Don't touch
He
him.
knows me now.
What's the split like in Nottingham between Notts County and Nottingham Forest? Because Notts County, if I'm right, are the oldest team in football. Juve stole their drip. The big three in Italy were founded by English people, and I think a couple of them are from
Notts
Nottingham.
County, definitely.
Yeah.
Notts County, definitely. But look, the thing with Notts County is there's no rivalry. It's mad.
Was there ever?
Nah, it's like it's across the river. It's crazy how close they are, but there's no real rivalry there. The rivalry is with Derby. That's the rivalry.
East
So
Midlands derby, right?
yeah, that's the Forest's like big rivals are Derby. That's it, and that's
that
why they
because
have the
they've never
Brian Clough
been
Cup, and
in
it's
the
to do with
league?
Cloughie. I think a lot of it because Cloughie went to Derby at one point, didn't he? And then he came to Forest, won 2 European Cups and stuff. So I think the rivalry, and obviously they're reasonably close. But Notts County, I mean, it'll probably be 70-30 to like Forest fans to Notts County fans. They're a nice club, Notts County. It's one of them. Just a nice.
Yeah,
There's
they
no,
just-
ri-
I
hate
there's
when
no
they-
rivalry.
we do
There's
that
no
to Fulham.
rivalry. There's
It's
no
big bro,
rivalry.
little bro team. You know, like they just know, innit?
You said you're at QPR. I remember that. Yeah. Did you play that game that we played? You?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. See,
right.
let me
Yeah,
tell you
we-
something.
No.
One second before we move on.
Tee it
I
up.
forgot. I nearly didn't land. Woo! Thanks for Thank you, mate. So, the best team. So we changed to academy, didn't we? About 98, 90, or whatever. It went to academy, and that's when it was the best of the best teams. And then there'd be an academy cup, and I remember the best team wasn't United. It was Nottingham Forest,
Yeah, our
mate.
team was bad.
And they had yourself, Craig Westcar,
Westcar was
keeper who was in goal for you lot.
Brian Roach.
He went on to
he went
make
pro.
it. He went
yeah,
pro.
but we had Dorse.
Go on. Andy Reid even played, yeah.
David Prutton. We had
Prutz.
Gareth
Bad boy
Williams.
team.
We had
Yeah.
a proper team, like, and we were solid. It was only Arsenal that done us in the end, who had like Pennant, Jeremy Adair,
Shock.
Jay Bothroyd.
Crazy
They were a
team.
proper
Jay
team.
Bothroyd went my
and we went
school.
tight. I mean, they beat us by 1 in the FA Youth Cup, but the Forest team was
Yeah, your team. For me,
was
your
serious,
team was did we do you? We had you in the semis or something like that. Like
No, we played over it's like over 2 legs, wasn't it? Like played Loftus Road for the first one. It was for the final of the Premier League, basically is what it was.
that's what it was. Not a cup.
It wasn't a cup.
Yeah.
It was for the Premier League final. So I think like you had like North and Midlands, and then like South and Midlands, winners of those leagues. It's like a playoff thing. Then they come together, 2 best teams. We played against you lot, and obviously.
We had Paquette. We had a good team as
Yeah.
well.
Did you have Lyndon? Was Lyndon Duncan in your team?
Yeah,
Wow,
when he used to
was a
visit
player.
Get a room,
from-
lads.
He was a player.
Wow.
Sorry, but yeah. So
Academy friends.
Sorry, wait. I'm
I'm trying
so
to give him his
sorry.
flowers, man. I'm trying to give him his flowers. You know what I mean?
they don't like it. See,
I know. I hear it.
Oh, he does this every show. bro.
Every time.
I know this guy's whole career.
Oh, mate.
He did say let him have his 1 moment. To be fair,
JJ, because I know you now, innit? You're JJ to me, innit?
let's go.
You've just gave this guy a pedestal that he doesn't even deserve.
You know what? Me and Steve will go a little bit further back in it. So I thought I'd let him have his moment. That was it. Let him have his moment.
Bro, you can't give him a moment.
no, it's fine because I'm not gonna listen. I've done things since. You know the ones there. We're talking about 16,
Oh,
yeah?
you see?
But you know what? I enjoy Steve-O
see?
getting his moment because you see one thing, yeah? Steve-O doubted me.
Oh what?
And then people that he rated.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right.
They know the same scat that scattered all the.
Yeah, it's true.
That-
He's
scared
he was
me.
good. He said he
Okay.
was good.
So
yeah.
I got to Norwich, but obviously
right, yeah.
London is like Nottingham. Crime's heavy.
Yeah.
I got caught up. I was Jermaine Pennant before Jermaine Pennant, but just didn't have an Arsenal outlet. That's all.
I hear you.
Yes,
Go.
obviously, after Forest now, made a name for yourself. 01-02 season now. £5 million, Newcastle.
Yeah.
February the 4th.
Yeah, that was mad.
That is not
No
within
transfer
the
window.
It was a January window then. I know it's February, but the window was just mad.
Robin Hood's ends. They get extra deals.
January transfer window, Cup man on February 4th.
I don't know. Things were
Hey,
different,
that's
innit?
crazy.
Things were
That
different.
sounds like the Nigerian man that sold the airport that he didn't own.
Mate, when do you find out? So obviously when you found out about getting into the Forest first team, it was like a moment and a build-up. When do you know you're getting a move to Newcastle?
The mad thing was, I was at Forest, obviously got into the first team the year before at the end of the year, but my first kind of like proper season started in August, and then by February 4th, I'm gone. I didn't even complete a full season. And it was weird. I'd literally just bought my first apartment on the Trent. It was sick. I used to sit there watching all the fans going into the stadium,
Bonuses were
thinking
good.
I'm playing in that stadium in 2 minutes. You know what I mean? It's like it was bad. But no, I remember it was like a Wednesday. We had a day off, and the manager called me into the office, and he was like, "Look, we've had 3 bids coming for you." He said Leeds have bid 5 million, but you're not going there.
What Leeds team?
Rio.
David O'Leary.
It was like the Rio, David O'Leary team when they were playing Champions League.
Trying to do the rebuild.
But he said you're not going there
David
because
Batty and all that in the middle. And that.
he said it's about to fall apart, so you're not going there.
Oh, I helped you.
And then he said, Man United have bid 3 million, but Sir Alex said he's not going anymore because it's a privilege to play for the football club.
Damn, rude like that.
And then he said, and Newcastle have bid 5 mil, and the car's going to be here in an hour. So I was like,
Didn't even give you a choice.
but then so obviously car comes, go up to Newcastle, phone's going mad. So it was like I had David O'Leary ringing me, agents like, don't pick that up, don't do this. And then next thing, Sir Bobby rings me, and he's just so excited on the phone. He's like, I can't wait to meet your son, can't wait to get up here. So I was like, right, pulled up into Newcastle. And they were like hiding me and stuff. Like I was getting out of cars in blankets over me and all sorts, trying to get into St James's Park.
Like Michael Jackson.
It's mad, yeah, because it was all undercover. So yeah, it was nuts. So I got into St James's Park. Now I've gone into the boardroom, and at the time, Freddie Shepherd was there, rest his soul, the chairman of the football club at the time. And his 2 sons, my agent, and then Bobby comes flying through the door and he's like, all right, son, love you, blah, 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 you're going to love it here. And then he said, someone said, I'll take him to the training ground. And I don't know why, but someone brought in was like, no, don't take him to the training ground, take him to the Quayside. So I was like, I don't even know what the Quayside was at this point. Do you know what I mean? I was like, okay, yeah, cool. So I've ended up going basically on the piss, in the Quayside.
It goes off there. It goes off.
was
innit?
mad.
Yeah.
So
It
like
goes
me,
off.
my agent, his 2 sons, we're in the Quayside, and we're just like, it started off with like dinner, and then it was like drink. And then, I don't know if anybody knows this, but there's like a 4-bedroom apartment in the middle of St James's Park. So where like the chairman sits in St James's Park, like behind him, across the hallway, literally like a 4-bedroom, beautiful apartment. So they said, like, after night out, just take him to the apartment. So I've gone in there, woke up the next day, and I'm hungover a little bit.
Oh,
as
so
well.
this is like the hangover.
It was mad. I woke up and I'm just like, I said to my agent, I'm messaging my agent saying, get me the contract now. Like, I love this place. And he said, he said, we're in the box. They were playing Bolton, I think, or someone like that the next day. And it was, he said, we're in the box opposite, come across. I walked over into the box.
And you see the
contract was there, the pitch was there, players are warming up. I was like, boom, let me sign. That was it. And then, that was...
What a city, innit?
Listen, Newcastle is a city. In terms of a fan base, when you play for that club, you're just basically God. And at that particular time when we were playing like Champions League, we were flying big boy players in the team like Shearer and like Lauren Robert, Bellamy, Dyer. Like it was a level up like I'd never experienced.
Dyer and Bowyer fought? Was you there?
No, leave
We'll
that.
get there.
All right, listen, mate. We're gonna need you to start taking
Get the
touch.
TA, man. Get the TA.
All right.
Hi, hello. Looney.
I forgot.
Looney. Can you count to 3, please, and calm down, please? Calm to 3 and
That's
calm
your
down.
TA.
Okay.
That's your TA.
Do you want to go outside for a walk? Wait. Do you want to go outside for a walk? Let's go to the playground and play some football, and then we'll come back in 10 minutes.
Am I right or wrong in thinking that when you first went to Newcastle, so you're flying, you've only done 6 months, you weren't supposed to play so quick as regular and as like straight away, or was that
Not really,
always the plan?
No, probably not really. But I mean, I was like 17, 18 at the time. For me, like, it sounds weird saying it. I mean, like, Championship was hard. Like, it was hard. They had some, like, Paul Ince's in that league at that particular time. They had some
Old Paul Ince.
yeah.
No ballers, just straight crash.
They turned into arseholes, innit?
Yeah, like Keith Curls. I remember one time it's Sheffield United. I don't know, like there was some free kick that happened or something, and Keith Curls ran over to take a quick free kick, and I nutmegged him because I was next to the ball. I just popped it through his legs and was like nuts. And then anyway, there's a corner. And I'm stood at the corner, all fresh, brand new to the league and all that, waiting for the corner to come in, and Keith Kilda just went right in my throat. I was just like, okay, this league's mad. Do you know what I mean? So,
Man, UFC.
There's no VAR to this day. There's still no VAR there now.
That's when he started playing men's football then.
Yeah, it's
still.
men's football. Yeah.
Welcome to men's football.
yeah, but by the time I got to the Prem, I felt like the Prem was easier at the time.
You have to earn the right to get there, I guess,
in
innit?
the Championship at that time, it was like rush. We're gonna like see if you can handle pressure, see if you can handle the strength of the league. But then by the time you get to the Prem, players kind of go, "Well, you've got the ball. Let's see what you can do." Like, and then you've got to be able to show people what you're about, and that was kind of the difference at the time.
So obviously, you said the Prem was easier, but chat to us about the Champions League.
Yeah, that was different.
What was that like? You're seeing certain Spanish man turning with it now. Like, it's different. You're getting assaulted in a different way. It's not elbows no more. It's straight to the
It
heart.
was different.
It's pure football then still.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is, like, when you're 19 years old, like, not loads is expected of you. So it's like a free hit. And I was fearless at the time. So, you know, that £5 million, that made me the third most expensive teenager in the world at the time. It was like
Second.
No, I think it was R9 was number one when he went to Barca, and then I think Robbie Keane went to Inter for 9, and then I came in number 3. Quickly phoned Pennant that said, "Deal with your 2 mil." Like, that's washed. That's washed.
Quick
But anyway, yeah. But no. But going into the Champions League, I think my first game was Inter Milan away, and
What team?
Like Christian Vieri up top,
Safe,
Zanetti, like you name them.
Rakoba. 2 million.
Rakoba's in the team.
Where was he playing,
Cordova
midfield?
at the back. Me, I was playing in centre mid in the game.
Who was their midfielders at the time?
Emre was there as well.
Turkish Emre.
Yeah.
Lefty.
They had a proper team. Dalma was in the team. Stefan Dalma. Like, their team was serious. Like, but we went into it like we were flying. Do you know what I mean? I grew up on Italian 90. That was my first
man.
World Cup. So the San Siro has always been my favourite stadium. And it was just like, you know, you walk up the stairs and it's just smoke everywhere. It was just mad. And, you know, we drew the game 3-3. But again, I just held my own. I was just confident. I was always just one of those kids was just like, just give me the ball. Like, I can handle it. It's not like, I didn't really feel pressure at that age. I always feel like with players now, and that's why I think it's really interesting when you watch players now. It's a bit like Lewis Skelly, right? He's coming in his first season. Nobody knows him. He's clearly an exceptional footballer, and I'm not saying he's going to go that way because, you know, I think he's got very level-headed appearance. He seems reasonably level-headed as well. But the next years, it's the moments when people go, okay, we know who you are now, we know what you're about, like, and the expectancy comes. And when the expectancy comes, that's when it gets difficult. But those early years, you know, that Champions League campaign was just insane.
That's funny you said that because I've just thought of saying here, clip this all you like. Was Jermaine, is it Jenas or Jenas?
It's genius. There's a
Genius.
story behind it, but, you know.
We'll get
Give
there.
us it.
Should we get through them
Yeah,
now?
let's get the
go on,
story.
Go on.
It's it's my dad basically. My dad. His name's Dennis Jenas, but my whole family's name's spelled with a G.
What?
Yeah. So the whole
Jamaican?
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah. The family name's spelled with a G. So
Bro, he ain't your cousin, bro. He ain't your cousin. He ain't your brother-in-law. He ain't your stepbrother. Calm down.
Go on.
Nah,
go
no,
on.
yard man.
At school, he was like, he just must have not liked his name, so he wanted everyone to call him DJ. So he changed his name from a G to a J. So everyone called him DJ.
Cold.
And then obviously, and then when I was born, he was like, yeah, I wanted to be called JJ. So I ended up just being the only genius of a J in the family.
Proper yard man, innit?
That was
Yard
it.
man thing.
Has this been said before?
I don't know, you know, I'm not sure. I've said it but I don't know if I've said it on camera.
To
but,
change your generations because you want to be
dad's a
called
bad man,
DJ.
Dennis. Old type Dennis.
Yeah, he didn't ram it. He just was
Uncle
like, listen,
Dennis.
this is me, I'm DJ. So that's it.
JJ.
So to follow on,
That's cold.
as a statement here, was JJ Deli Ali before Deli Ali?
Yes, absolutely. I was just
Yeah, I
thinking
feel
that.
like I had a strong connection with Delhi for a long time because of that reason. And the thing is, like, obviously Delhi won't see it, and he won't see it till he's finished. But you know, Delhi will see it in the next one, and I could see what was happening with Delhi. And Delhi was always one of those things that I used to look at him as a player. And the way that I do my analysis when I'm doing football is, would I like to play against you or not? So there are certain men you look at, whether it's Caicedo, Gravenberch, or don't know, I pointed to you, Gravenberch. You know, you look at Declan Rice, these guys, and you kind of go, oh, that's a tough day's work. That is. And you kind of work your analysis around their strengths and their weaknesses. And I used to look at Delhi and I used to think, I'm not 100% sure, like, not so much what he does, but as a centre midfield player, I would love to play against you in a 2v2. But when he's in that pocket behind Harry Kane, hell no. He's basically Lampard, in that particular. And when he was on it, you didn't want to come across him. But it was a different era, and he had that space to work in. But it was just, I could kind of just see certain traits in his game, certain traits in his lifestyle that was like, I could...
Balloons.
I could just look at it and go, you know what?
Dickhead. Hey, how fun is he, Jay?
Shut up, man. That's the funny shot ever. It's a random balloon shot, yeah? No, but I could see some stuff in Delhi where I was like, can I help him? You know, and I reached out to him a few times, and, you know, we had some good chats. But look, it was just sad, wasn't it? It was just sad. And I think that like, I had a similar experience kind of with what happened with me. And you can't put your finger on why. You know, it just happens. The game changes and stuff like that. But I do, yeah. I mean, both won Young Player of the Year. Both had that kind of coming from the champ and flying in the Prem. Both light skin, you know. Both doing what we're doing.
Played with some serious players at Newcastle, like you said, Alan Shearer.
Patrick
Kluivert was over there.
I still can't believe he was down there.
Yeah, I guess that version of Patrick Kluivert.
No, but what version was it?
Get that. Nobby Solano.
Baller.
Not be good player.
Bad boy.
Not be good player.
What Kluivert was that? Obviously, I remember yeah.
He was out a lot, put it that way. Yeah.
Oh.
He was doing his thing.
Yeah.
Actually, he was out. But
You're saying Justin then? Justin?
yeah, Justin was around. Like Justin was is a youth, like a little baby running around the place. But it was I saw some stuff on Patrick that I'd never seen, like in terms of like touches and things he did in a game where you were like, I can only imagine. I mean, we played against him in that Champions League campaign. He was at Barca at the time,
mad.
and he hurt us badly in that game. But in that particular, when he joined us, yeah, man, he was different, and it was a little bit annoying. We had Souness at the time, and Graham was like, I remember when he signed, I hated that like. We lost Bobby, but Graham, I always put it like this. He was almost like the best manager in terms of someone I could talk to, because I used to go and sit in his office before games. I used to leave the changing room. I'm just going, like, there'd be like 4 of us in his office just chatting away, reading papers, watching Soccer AM, just whatever. And he was always cool with that. But then from like learning as a young centre midfield player, I'm like, I've got Graham Souness. Like, this is, like, you can't be, I'm at Harvard. This is going to be amazing. And he just didn't give it me. It just wasn't there. It was just...
Because he couldn't or because he couldn't?
I don't think it was his thing. I just think he was just very much like, you know, he let Dean Saunders do what he was doing and he just stayed in the background. They didn't really give you the knowledge that I was looking for at that particular time.
Talking of Kluivert, I think, I don't know if any of you lot think this, but maybe I'm older. I feel like we were... I don't want to say robbed of like he maybe had R9 levels.
Yeah,
like, he could have been
at
like
Barca,
that.
At Barca,
Mate, but
he was scary.
I watched him, bro. Patrick Kluivert.
Injury, going at gal, all of that allegedly. Like
Arnan did that as well. No, he wasn't in check.
Exactly.
that's why he was gone by 25.
I understand that. Patrick Kluivert won the Champions League 18.
Yeah, Ajax, he did, didn't he?
Patrick Kluivert won the Champions League 18.
One winner, scored the winner.
Yeah.
Pat was
Quality
serious,
player, but
proper
by the
player.
time he's at Barcelona, his career was going down, man.
At Newcastle, who's the best player you played with?
You know what? Because you can do names, or you can do like in that particular era who was actually the best player. And
Go and ask both of them.
I
then.
think as a name, obviously Shearer was top dog, and you know I watched Al in terms of a goal scoring machine, and I had him at the end of his career. Never seen anything like
Still
it.
firing,
but
yeah.
also like the dominance of. That's where I kind of learnt that element of. We used to win games in a tunnel because of Al, really. Because he was just very influential. I think you've seen it over the years with people like Harry Kane. There's something about being England captain that like referees just kind of bowed to a little bit. Do you know what I mean? There was things that was happening in games where like...
How'd you feel about that? Right or wrong?
I loved it. I loved it because it was on my team, so I didn't care. Like I used to go up first header, wallop, that someone's getting hit. And the referee's like that, like, didn't see it. Don't know what happened, didn't see anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are getting taken out. So in terms of like the influence on a game and getting us to win games and grabbing games by the scruff of the neck, Al was probably the best. But in terms of the ones that impressed me most, I'd say Bellamy.
Cold.
Bellamy was like way better than I thought he was.
Is it, yeah?
Way better. Like, and obsessed with football. Like we'd play on I lived next door to him as well, by the way. So used to play a game on a Saturday. I had all my boys waiting for me after the game. Win the game. I'm thinking I'm going out in Newcastle. I'd literally about to go out the door. Boom, boom, boom. Knock on the door. Be Bellas. We might win the game like 3-4-0. You just open the door, come flying in. What about him today? And I'm like, what? He'd be like, still angry. And he'd spend an hour sat on my sofa just killing the whole team. He's not good enough. He's not good enough. And I'm like, Bellas, I'm going out. Like, what's going on? So, but like, Bellas.
At least he rated you.
Yeah, of course. But also, he was like, you know, there were things that Bellas did. So I knew that when Bellas first arrived, he won Young Player of the Year at Newcastle. So I was like, that's the goal. That's my first goal. Get that. But Dyer was, even with the injuries, killed him. But KIERAN was next level.
Was a baller.
Well, did you play? I was at Leyton Orient after.
Yeah.
And we played Newcastle in the League Cup.
Yeah.
Was you in that team?
Leyton
Orient away?
No.
By then
That'd been before, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I went with them.
Just before. So that'd been 2002?
Probably 2001. Yeah, 2001 team maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
so Dyer in that team.
Yeah, Dyer was a
I'd
joke.
never seen anything like it, man.
Yeah, he was unreal. He was absolutely unreal. And
That's his right wing, no, these times.
well, he started at right wing back, didn't he?
Yeah,
At Ipswich, but at Newcastle he was centre mid, and he was different gravy. So him, I mean, and then Robert, Lauren was just like.
I remember he kicked the ball hard, didn't it? Yeah.
He was just in.
Knocked him
He
out.
knocked him out at Leicester.
That was
yeah.
class.
But Lauren just didn't he just didn't care. You know, Lauren was just in his own world doing what he
Them
did.
bronze night boots, them bronze with the little...
Quick fire. Distan, good player.
Baller.
Yeah.
Player, yeah, and I was devastated when he left because he wanted to play centre half, and I still to this day think he was our best centre half, but Bobby saw him as a left back. So
Stephen Carr.
player, absolute solid, just solid. You don't want to go near Kari. Trust me, he'll mash you up. Like
Shay Given.
Shay was like, you know, in terms of like shot stopping, probably one of the best in the league at that particular time. I don't think you can doubt that.
Duncan Ferguson as a like.
I didn't play with Dunk.
Oh, you didn't?
No, Dunk was gone.
Steve, oh.
Next.
You're done. You flew too close to the sun, my brother.
Who was a player that came in and you were like, or everyone was like, not sure about him?
Not him.
I'm not sure about that one. That's a tough call, actually. I think to look at it that way is difficult because they don't really get there. So many people come on like a trial or whatever, and you don't really know who they are. The one I do remember, before you finish, who you went the other way with was Nzogbia.
Okay, yeah.
When Nzogbia arrived, I remember everyone going, geez, who's this kid? Like, this kid's serious. And we knew we were going to sign him, like, but he was just, again, like, he just got caught.
What happens? Why do you think that happens? Do you reckon it is that Quayside? That Quayside must have taken a good few players.
I'm telling you, see what goes on in Quayside stays in Quayside.
Yeah, but you know what it is? Like, you're loved by him. So we used to finish Champions League games, like fly into Newcastle, get in our cars, and just drive straight to the nightclub. And you'd in our tracksuits. And you'd go in there, yeah, you'd literally go into the club and like you'd walk behind the bar and just open a fridge and just grab a beer and no one said nothing.
This is why now Ranger made it over there. Because he knew already after a game, it's turn up time.
Obviously, you lot had top party boys. Might be just before your time. David Ginola, Faustino
that's before
Asprilla.
me, yeah.
Just before, but them stories must have been debat.
I didn't-
Asprilla, I heard.
Yeah.
He turned Newcastle upside down. It's my guy.
To be fair, Celez was the one who had the more
Wait.
legendary kind of.
So
That's the name you heard
Longest
more.
in the shower, all right?
Huh?
Why'd you know that?
Wait,
Yeah,
no.
that was mad. That was mad.
It's a madness, I've heard. Old tight Sir Les. It's a madness.
Yeah, Les is a legend up there.
Yeah,
to be fair.
there you go.
Sir Les, you know. Sir Les.
Longest in the shower.
Let's talk about some specific moments right now. Obviously, you mentioned.
Oh, before we...
Go on,
Sorry.
Go on, Steve.
Last player. You play with Titus Bramble?
Yeah.
Right. I have a theory. He's unbelievable, right? But I guess, concentration. Like what I'm saying, he could ping. His passing was good. Sometimes he was unreal defending 1v1, but obviously he made some errors and they got highlighted.
Yeah.
How good's Titus? I know Titus. How good is
Titus
he?
a good player. I think, like you said, though, the problem he's got is being a centre half is all in there. It's all mental. It's all about staying concentrated
He's
for
a
the whole
dope,
game. And Titus used to just switch off, like randomly, just used to. And you know, he'd do things in a game, like open up on his left foot and hit a 60-yard diag, and you'd be like, what? But then there'd be some silly stuff in there as well. Even when we signed him from Ipswich, I remember we were on the coach, last game of the season, Ipswich played Liverpool. And we knew we'd signed Titus, and this ball goes up in the air. And he's gone to just like clear it. He's missed the ball. It's bounced. He's gone to try and get it again. He's missed it. And then Mike Clarence ran through and scored. And everyone on the coach is going, who the fuck we signed here? Like, what's going on? But then...
Is that the one where he done the header thing?
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, he tried to... Yeah, he tried to head it to the keeper or something.
Done a mad thing. Like he's kicked it, miskicked it.
Yeah, he tried.
And then he tried to header it back to the keeper and missed it. And Owen just grabbed it.
Yeah, bang, goal.
And boom. Yeah.
But the problem is
that.
the defenders live on that. Defenders live and die on those moments. That, you know, and that's the
He's
job,
not
innit?
the go-to bad defender that you've seen, though. That's what I wanted to make that clear.
No, he's not.
Like,
no,
way
definitely
is
not.
he.
It was, and actually, Titus was better than people give him credit for.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
definitely.
say he was like a little mini wonder kid. Like
He was 18. He got a ball. So Wonder Kid, you mad?
amongst his ranks. Amongst
He was
his
a soul. He was like potentially a Sol Campbell, but
He played against R9, by the way.
I've got a bigger, better. Like he's a Liverpool legend, but he's not. He's a
course
Man
it's
City
Liverpool.
legend, but he's not.
Who?
He's a Villa legend, but he's not. He's a Newcastle legend, but he's not. James Milner.
Yeah, I did play with
Talk
Millie,
to
yeah.
us about Millie.
He was a major.
Ultimate pro, man. Do you know what I mean? It was like, you know, when we started pre-season and he first arrived, it was
you win a big
the...
test there?
Nah, he weren't fitter than me and Kieran at the time. At the time, me and Dyer were top dogs at the time. And but he was up there. There was like me, Dyer, Gary Speed, James came in, and there was a couple of us. But yeah, what a legend. But Millie was, you just knew from day that Millie was gonna probably have the career that he had.
Did he get called busy?
He just, yeah. That's the beauty of Millie, though.
Yeah.
So we'd have Christmas parties, and he'd show his face, gone. Like, he was just so focused on the job. And I think his limitations actually made him what he is. Because you have players, whether it be like myself and Kieran or like a Robert, who are just like, just give me the ball and let me just like do what I do. And I think that kind of hinders you after a bit, where James just had his step over and cross, and he would work on it.
Single step over as well, and he never went past one.
Either foot though.
But in training, there was only one player that was like, after training, day in, day out, working on left foot, right foot, shooting, running, and Millie was he was the ultimate pro.
Quality player, man.
Top player.
Won everything as well.
Yeah, top player.
So obviously, that filthy, and in football in general in this country, there's the big debate: Scholesy, Lampard, Gerrard. April 2003 against Man United. You've given Newcastle the lead, and then the ginger guy scores a hat
not for
trick.
long.
Chat to us, man. Chat to us about Paul Scholes.
Before you do that, do you know out of those three, out of the Holy Trinity, who,
I know.
who's the one?
Yeah. I've got a name. I'll give it to you after. But that game was just mad because obviously it's United. It's the end of the season. It's a big game, and I think we were up there around that particular time as well. And I'll never forget, we got on the coach. There were two things that happened in that game that were mad. So Martin Tyler, obviously the Sky commentator, as I'm about to get on the coach, he said the same thing to me. He went, Jermaine, is it Jenas or Jenas? And I was like, Martin, it's Jenas. He went, thank you. So when I banged in that first goal, and he goes, Jenas by name, genius by nature. And I was like, you know what? That is the quality of broadcasting there. You know, he's gone to the extra step. He's gone the extra step to get those details. Yeah. And then obviously I bang one in, and that line is just like gold. But then the other thing that happened that was funny is that me and Kieran are flying at this particular time in midfield, and then I think Kieran had spoke to the press. Now, Kieran did not say these words, but the press are what they are, and they're going to twist and turn things to how they want. But we're on the coach, open to the sports page, and it's like, Dyer, I will replace Paul Scholes in midfield for England.
I respect that though. I respect it.
And everyone's looking at him like, bro, are you taking the piss? Like, what are you doing? So obviously I scored this goal, we're all hyped and all that, and then this different version of Paul Scholes just turns up, and it was just like edge of the box, bang. This like bang, just goal.
Did he look at Dyer? Did he give it large or not to him?
Scholes is not like that.
Okay.
Scholes just don't say nothing. Like that's why it's mad that Scholes is so much in the media now, because Scholes didn't talk, did he? But in that particular moment, it was just a masterclass. And, you know, like, even on that day, do you know who one of their best players was on that day was John O'Shea. John O'Shea was
he's
doing
not
some
bad,
madness
though.
in
He's
that
not
game.
bad, man.
He was doing some madness in that game, I'm telling you.
Oversteps, didn't he? He does
He was
step
doing some
over,
crazy
yeah.
stuff. But Scholesy, yeah, it was just, it was elite level
What was
football.
his, what goal? What was the? Was it the one where he got the diag and he whacked it and he hit the
It was just
volley?
rolled across the edge of the box and he just hit it with the outside of his hand. It just went top corner. And they just shut the whole stadium up and it just, we couldn't come back from that.
I hope you say that to say then that you believe Scholes is the top.
By the way, I've listened to your lot of stuff, by the way. I've listened to your lot of stuff, so I know where you're going with your
We're on
argument.
Scholes though. I want to stick on Scholes quick.
He's chewing toes, bro.
The only thing I would say about Scholes is this, is I had him at a different part in his career. It's a bit like when playing against Roy Keane. I didn't have Roy Keane in his pomp. I didn't have Scholesy in his pomp. Like, do you know what I mean?
Whoa, this is what I'm saying. He's pomp for me. Great transition. Thanks, Jay. You must do TV.
I used to.
You'll be back,
Exactly,
man.
100%.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
One sec. Brother, so I thought Scholesy got better later.
It was different.
Was he the same Scholesy as we see Nat Satnav when he was back in the day?
You had to worry about two different things. Like, Scholesy was on your shoulder and would be scoring goals on a regular basis. Like, you know, if you think about some of his England performances, like way at Scotland and, you know, for United, Champions League, he was scoring different types of goals, but goals like a striker would score from midfield. I think by the time, like, that era and then going into the latter stages of United, Fergie used to do this thing where always playing 4-4-2, but then if you were, the minute they got ahead in the game, Scholes on, sit in front of the back four, and it was just like 60-yarder, 40-yarder, short one, long one, and you couldn't get near the guy. So, and he had all facets of the game from as a midfielder. You know, everything Lampard could do, he could do. But then everything like Carrick could do, he could do as well from that like deeper position. So,
Just not the athletic bit.
well, he wasn't athletic, but he was smart. So he used to do things. So for me, I used to look at him and kind of go, right, you ain't going to run past me, so I ain't worried about that. You're not going to outstrength me, so I'm not worried about that. But in midfield, you're constantly, you're on the
Scanning.
swivel constantly, whether you got the ball or not, because you got to be checking your distances from your back four to, you know, who's around you, who's in the pockets. And Scholesy just used to do this thing, and Lampard used to do the same, where you had them, and then you'd scan, and then you look back and they're gone. And you're like, it's just instant panic, where are they? And he's in the box, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get. And if it comes to him, I'm dead. And they were just very cute with his movement of how, because none of them really had pace.
They're watching you.
Yeah,
Watch them.
they just watch
As
their
soon
eyes.
as they
Yeah.
lock eyes with you, they're gone.
That was it, and
That's
that
their
yeah,
movement
because they
time.
knew they weren't quick, so they had it unlocked.
So anyway, Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard.
I said Gerrard, yeah, because I just think he was the best. You know, I trained with them all, number one, with England, and Gerrard just wanted to beat you up every single day. Yeah, whether it was training or whether it was in a match. Like, if you went to Anfield with Gerrard, it was like an insult walking into his house, you know, and you'd feel it. And I think, you know, what it all boils down to, you know, you look at the attributes of all the players, and they're all unbelievable players. But could Lampard have done what Gerrard did for Liverpool, and could Scholes have done what Gerrard did for Liverpool? And I don't think they could have individually. And I think like that individual grabbing a game by the scruff of the neck and grabbing average teams for Liverpool.
That's the difference. Isn't it?
to trophies is the difference in my opinion.
We're still on about that 3-2 West Ham final. Is that what we're still talking about?
Champions League
That was a
final.
strike,
That was
bro.
Xabi Alonso.
Bro. Steven Gerrard, look, let me just work on that.
I think you got to look at the teams he was playing in. Were not. they
Bro,
weren't
Steven
great
Gerrard's
teams.
the only man. Europa League final goal, FA Cup final goal, Carabao Cup final goal, Champions League Cup final goal. Like this is big drip. He's a
Jay,
big player.
You see, so let me ask, me and you've had this, right? You see the Klopp team, the first one with Milner, a Robinson that's just come from relegation,
Andy Robertson.
Andy Robinson.
That wasn't his first team.
What?
That wasn't Klopp's first team.
No, but I'm saying the first team that won the league. The one that
won the
won the
league,
league,
yeah.
right?
Henderson and
Henderson,
Fabinho.
right? He ended up being great, to be honest with you. But Henderson, Fabinho, all of that. What teams better, that era, or the Gerrard, Alonso,
Yeah, it's interesting. I know what you mean.
Mascherano?
Eras are what you come up against, though, aren't they? As well, you know. And I think that if you put the names on paper, you go right, Gerrard, Alonso, two of the best midfielders on the planet. Do you know what I mean? But I think they were just coming up against better players or better teams. Better teams at that particular time. That Klopp team was just one of the best well-drilled teams we've ever seen, and it was new. It's a bit like when Pep arrived, and everyone was like, "We ain't adjusted to this yet." All of a sudden, they got like Mane, you know, Firmino, and like Salah doing a madness.
The difference might be that Liverpool team back then was a Liverpool team. That one that we're talking about is a Klopp team. That's a Klopp team built to do exactly what he wants them to.
You didn't get the answer you wanted, boys, so you just made it up.
I was ready for an argument. If anyone wants to argue it, I'm good.
I'm just asking what I'm saying. It's neither there or there.
So you think Gerrard and them was better than Henderson? That team was better than...
on paper.
No way, bro.
Let me land. I think on paper, having a... Don't forget they had even Gerrard... We're talking about the players that Gerrard... So the argument stems from that Henderson, they get Henderson, once Gerrard leaves, is it because it's not everything about Gerrard, all of that, now the pressure...
He didn't play for Liverpool, you know.
I'm asking him as a football man.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Just saying.
Hey, listen, you see...
Point is...
the thing is, it's always these two. So, like obviously, they need... Both of them need
Big brother,
TAs.
little brother.
Don't do that.
Big brother, little brother. Like,
Don't do that.
He wants
I
to
don't
be
need
big
to
brother
see
so
Who's
much.
the big brother? Because you might effort old.
You lot are doing this. I'm going to say what
Young
I'm
boy
going to
going
say.
Turkey, you know, talking
So
smack.
listen, I think on paper that old team's better. I'll leave it there.
You know what?
I'm
I want to
with
talk.
you.
I want to talk about my team because whenever we get,
What?
let me land, bro.
Let's talk about it, Lippy. Thank you very much.
Whenever we get the ex-pros, them or the pros down here, we speak about. We done an episode before. We spoke about Arsenal for about 47 seconds. I was disgusted. Yeah,
Go on.
You played against the Invincibles, the best team this country has ever seen.
Patrick Vieira,
Talk to us about it, man.
Thierry.
I mean, I think, like, you know, sometimes, like, you stand in a tunnel before games and, you know, you look across or whatever, and I've never been so shocked when I saw how big that Arsenal team were. Every single player is like 6 foot. Even Pires was like 6'1", 6'2", and he was one of the ones you looked at and thought, you
He's
can
the
get
one
into
that
him.
can barge.
You can't. Like, he's 6'2". And then you had Ashley Cole, who was the smallest, and he was the horriblest out of all of them. He was the most vicious player, you know.
From East London,
and
Bowl.
And I was good friends with Ash, and he would literally try and break your leg like in games. Like, he didn't care, but he was also like top baller. But I think probably the best team I played against in the Premier League. Definitely, I think so. Yeah, when I look at like what they had, you know, remember the Bergkamp goal against Newcastle?
Was you in that
That was my third game. Might be my second game in the Premier League.
About that.
And I was there, front and centre. I'm in the clip. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what has just happened there?
Do you think he meant that?
Yeah. 100%, man. Because it was too smooth. Everything was just too... They weren't like, bad touch. It was just like, I know where this is going. Like, he was already going that way.
Do you know how crazy that touch is?
It was just
Do you
insane.
understand the
It was
maths?
insane. It was insane. I like that particular team, and actually facing Vieira was just like, I mean, it was a dream for me because I love Patrick, and you know, challenging yourself.
What's he good at? What's he bad at?
I don't think he was bad at anything as a centre midfield player.
Maybe
I think long balls, maybe.
See, I'm a leather man.
But like in terms of dribbling, he was a better dribbler than people gave him credit for.
Listen,
Little 1-2s.
We'll get your tablet soon, all right? Just relax.
I know football boys.
But it was just, you couldn't see the ball. Like, there's only 2 players I ever came across when I tried to defend them. I couldn't actually physically see the ball because of how big their feet are and stuff. It was like him and Kanu. They just used to have it in a place where... I remember playing at Highbury once, and he used to do this thing all the time, and it used to piss you off. But me and KIERAN were just constantly every game we played him and running jokes on each other, whether it's like, you just been nutmegged or... KIERAN used to say to me, like, half time, you can let him do that to you. Like, you're embarrassing. Like, and it would perk you up. You'd be like, I'm not having this. But it was at Highbury, and the ball's... in midfield, and it's like bouncing around, and Patrick's flicked one over my head and gone it on the other side, and I'm like, I know exactly what's happening at half time. And I've come in and Kieran's like, mate, I'm embarrassed for you. Like, are you gonna let him?
You need that though.
Are
You know you
gonna let
need
him
that,
just
innit?
flick it over your head like that. And then literally about 2 minutes into the second half, he did the exact same thing to Kieran. Kieran's on the right wing, and he did it with his knee. Like, kneed it over his head, buoyed him out of the way, and was like, we're gone. But they had it everywhere. Everywhere on the pitch they had it. So you just couldn't... And if anything, like, defensively was where they broke you most, because they were just solid, man. Like, you couldn't get through. So yeah, proper team.
I followed your career. I'm a stato. Obviously, I followed most of the players I played against in the youth team. That's what you do in it. See where they get to. You wouldn't know. You played only 1 year. Did you get a YT? I don't even know.
Go YT still. Back a lot of goals.
He bit on that. He bit on that one.
A bit still.
But let me ask you.
Even he's like, what? Have you played more games than me?
Was Arsenal coming in? Was it just rumours, or was Arsenal coming in
close,
for you and saying Vieira replacement and all that, wasn't it?
Yeah. At that particular time, like, look, you know, obviously this is hard to talk about being a Tottenham man, but essentially when I was at Newcastle, so Arsene Wenger was always talking well of me, like, openly.
Yeah, I
and
remember. 100%.
for me at that particular time, Arsene Wenger was basically what Pep Guardiola is now. You knew if you got into Arsene Wenger's hands that he was going to elevate you as a player to that level you wanted to get to. And I knew that obviously Patrick was leaving at that particular time. And yeah, I think Arsene Wenger did a whole like chat around. I was going to meet of England in the summer, and he did some press conference of some sort around like end of the season stuff. And you know, I remember being on Sky, and it like Yellow Bar comes along, and it's like Arsene Wenger interested in Jermaine Jenas or whatever, and I'm like, right, I'm going Arsenal. I'm ringing Ash. I'm like, listen, get this over the line, speak to him. And he's like, yeah, I'm trying. Do you know what I mean? But I think at that particular time, obviously, stadium's been built. And Arsene was finding some gems in France as well. And he had a 15-year-old Cesc Fabregas.
I was just about to say that.
Abu Diaby.
I mean, Abu was like, yeah, definitely one of the best I played against. He was a player. But so it was more to do with that. It was more to do with like the like politics and logistics around what he could and couldn't spend at that particular time. But I actually, weirdly, I did some work with FIFA a couple of years ago, hosting like the Best Awards. And Arsene Wenger works at FIFA now. So I was like, I'm just going to ask him. So I was like, Arsene, why didn't you buy me? Like, what happened? And he went, I knew you was going to ask me this. And he said, look, I should have bought you when you was at Forest. He said, that was my mistake. He said, when you was at Forest and you was leaving, that's when I should have bought you. And obviously, he said by then, obviously things have evolved, stadium, Fabregas. And I remember watching, right, you lot at a Charity Shield game. And I think Cesc was like 16 or something like that. And I'm watching this game and I'm thinking, please flop. Please flop, Cesc.
Are you watching it on a hate watch? You're doing a
yeah,
hate watch?
I'm doing a hate watch. And it backfired.
YouTube?
Yeah, it backfired massively.
I respect that.
Because I'm like at that time thinking, I want to go to Arsenal.
That's the first season he got the number 15 shirt.
And he was just, and the kid just balled out. He was a joke. And I just was like, yo, he's serious. You know what I mean? And, you know, as you saw, he went on to be one of the greatest midfielders ever. So, look, didn't happen, you know, but I just knew at that time I needed to get out of Newcastle because I could feel things going the wrong way at Newcastle. And Spurs was the other option.
In what sense, though?
Mike Ashley.
Because when you say things were going wrong, was it performance-wise? Was it the clubhouse-wise? What was going wrong?
The key side get too small.
Mine was just personal, if I'm honest with you. I'm not really looking at everything. I'm looking at it going, am I becoming a better footballer here? Yes or no? It's a simple question. And it was a World Cup year. So it was 2005-06 season. And I'd missed out on going to the Euros in Portugal with an Achilles injury. So I was like, I need to go to a major tournament. And I just did the maths in my head and I was like, I'm not going if I stay here. And we'd played Spurs in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup the year before. And they had like, Sean Davis was there, Pedro Mendes, they had Canute up top, Carrick was there. And I was like, I'm bearing in mind, like when my first kind of Spurs team I played against, you know, these were legendary players, but they were old. So you had like Tim Sherwood, Les Ferdinand, Stefan Freund, but they were finishing like mid-table Spurs.
Debut against Spurs.
He's
I made my debut against Spurs.
He's not letting it go.
What, cup?
Huh?
Cup.
Testimonial.
Oh, testimonial.
Testimonial.
Therefore not league. It's Steve Carr and them, man.
We've had this every
I
week.
can tell.
Sorry, JJ, you started this.
I did. You're right.
So your thing, you started talking about things going wrong, and you mentioned it, that 05, 06
Mike
period. Before we go into that, let's talk about a specific moment, yeah? 2nd of April 2005, 3-0 down to Villa. You're subbed in the 63rd minute.
Why did Dyer, Bowyer have that punch?
Do you want to say it now in better words? Like a bit quicker? Yeah?
Tell us about the punch up. Tell us about the aftermath. In your words, in your timing. No one interrupt.
Oh, shut up, mate. It's you that interruption.
No, listen, right. That I actually feel sorry for KIERAN with this whole thing because it's almost like defined his career in a weird way. And obviously he was a way better player than that, as was Bo. But the madness was, right, every morning we all sat together. So there was like me, KIERAN, Bellas, Dyer, and Jonathan Woodgate. We all sat on the same table having breakfast together. We sat and had lunch together because Bobby Robson used to have this thing where whenever you came in for lunch, no one could eat until he said. So you'd sit there and you'd just chat and you'd go, right, lad, you can eat. And then you'd eat and then you'd have to sit there and wait until he said you could leave. And he'd say, right, off you go. And you'd leave. But so we were together for a big period of time. Look, Bo was going through a tough period at that particular time. He was like not playing well. You know, I had my own situation at Villa Park where, weirdly, at Villa Park, where I got the ball midfield. I've played it out to Bo on the right wing and he's lost it. And it's like Wilfred Baumer took it off him, went down the line, crossed it, bang, Angel, goal. Anyway, as the goal goes in, I'm like looking like up the pitch because Bellamy's sprinting towards me. And he's like, what you doing passing the ball to him? I've told you, he's absolutely having one. And I'm like, he's on our team, though. He's one of our players. What do you mean?
I know that though. You know,
I don't
when
know
you
that
know,
still, but
don't
I
give
know
it to
that.
him. Not now. Give him 5.
So he was having a tough time, right? Anyway, in the game, I think Kieran's just getting frustrated because he's like, pass me the ball. You're not passing me the ball. What's going on? And whether Bo was ignoring him or just not getting his touch right, he's not passing him the ball. So I think they just had like, it was just one step too far. Kieran said something. Bo
was said, though?
I don't know. I think I'd come off at that particular time. I can't remember. But Bo had said something and it was just, it just went off. You know, I think it was one of those ones where they just had to save face a little bit. There was like that moment where Bo started throwing and Kieran's like, well, I know my boys are watching. I'm not taking this. So then they start swinging. That wasn't really the interesting part for me. Because nothing, it's just a lot of shirts getting grabbed and all that. But afterwards, yeah, I think that like we went into the changing room. Boy, it's mad. I mean, that era of Newcastle with Souness was just insane anyway. But he goes, we walk in and it's just silent. Like no one's saying a word. Everyone knows like something bad has happened. So everyone's looking at each other like, what's going to happen? Shearer gets up. And he's like, go on then. And everyone's like, what?
1-on-1?
He's like, you want to fight? If you want to fight, let's go. Let's do it now. You two, get up now. Obviously, Kieran and Bo just sat there and they're both just like, not going to do it. And then Souness walks in. He's like, no. You've embarrassed us. Get up and fight now in front of the whole dressing room. Anyway, they just left it. I don't.
Did they get up?
Was it? I think it was Bobby.
So they
actually.
left it.
They weren't gonna fight. How you man shocked?
Nah, man.
Might have been, yeah, I think it might have been Souness. But either way, the bottom line of it was they were both obviously heavily embarrassed about the situation. As a pro, you know, you can look back on it and crack jokes and this, that, and the other, but it's a real low point in any pro's career, that type of moment. But they didn't fight. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, they didn't really talk after, like, for a period of time. And it was kind of forced. They had to do this whole press thing. Where
remember that.
They went and shook hands and stuff. And it was
That's with Souness.
Yeah, it was really forced and that. But the bottom line of it was, look, we all became friends and stuff afterwards. But it's just, I hate the fact that it kind of defines both their careers in a weird way. But it's such a weird moment.
Let me ask you a question though that the people want to know. If that fight went the way both of them wanted it to go, who would have won that fight?
You know what? I think it's one of those ones where Kieran had some silly strength that people didn't recognize with him. He's like one of those super strong little people. But so I think it was like a one-off. Then I think Kieran might have took him. But Bo's one of those guys who don't go away. Bo's come back next day. And he's come back a day after that. He's come back a day after that. He just gets red mist.
Down the stretch, you get
Yeah, he's just got
100%,
red mist. If you nutmegged him in training, he'd just lose his head. Do you know what I mean? Like head just used to go bright red.
He was talking through grit because I watched that clip back because I knew you was
Yeah.
popping up today. And
He's just angry.
And I saw him. He's talking through gritted teeth.
Yeah,
like,
he's just-
holding back.
yeah.
He's going,
Is he ginger?
The man talking through gritted teeth.
Yeah, well, he's one of them. Once he's gone, he's gone. He's not coming back. He's not coming
gritted
back.
teeth,
Whereas
bro.
Kieran had a
It's
little
old.
bit more control, but was just caught up in a bad situation.
But obviously,
toilet.
oh, sorry. Yeah, obviously after that,
Tell you, it's that man's babysitting, bro. I swear to you.
Is this what happened?
Sorry, he's just gone to the toilet quickly. Can't control the bladder.
Did you ever wear, you know, footballers? I see footballers do the quirky thing with the thumb rings and the, you know, index finger rings. Like he's trying to do with the plumber rings.
Aye.
And, like,
Before you
he's
get back on
I'm
me,
just asking.
alright, cool. Before you ask any question, give back that chain. It's not yours.
Give it back.
It's not yours. Give back the chain. He's not even both. You don't even know him from nowhere. Give him back your chain.
I knew that was gonna happen.
A man can't come for me.
knew.
I don't care. This is H&M. I don't give a damn.
H&M.
Yeah. It's H&M. Guess what this is? Not yours.
That's bold.
Wait. Guess what that is? Not yours.
Listen to Jermaine. So you wore those rings where?
No, I don't wear the rings. No, what I'm saying is like footballers, like when you see footballers doing a madness, right? It's because they're all looking for a release of some sort. Do you know what I mean? Like you're so disciplined throughout the whole season. I dyed my hair blonde.
International break, innit? I see
Yeah,
something. There's
you
all
go wild.
They're all in flares.
Yeah, you go wild because you just want to let loose. You're like, right, it's time. I'm going. Nah, I'm cool.
So
today.
what was
I'm
your
cool.
what? Cool. So as we're talking about that, what was your let loose?
I mean, I did the stupid stuff. Like, I pierced my eyebrow. I dyed my hair blonde. Yeah, I dyed my hair
giving
blonde.
Tupac.
No, it weren't great, but I had lines everywhere, like in my eyebrows.
Lines them days you could get away with.
Yeah, but I was just doing anything just to like rebel a little bit. It was just mad.
moving on now, 05, 06. after having a spiritual bond with Wenger, you've done this.
Yeah.
You've gone to Tottenham.
Innit, man?
What's happened there, Jermaine?
It was more to do with where I knew they were going. Like I said, my goal was to get to the World Cup. And I looked at Spurs and I was like, if anybody's going to get in the Champions League as that extra team, it's going to be Spurs. Just from looking at the league, really. And they were buying young English players, exciting players. They had a big squad. So I knew that they was going to be able to sustain the season. And yeah, I just was like, let's just do it, frig it. Like, I wasn't 100% sold on it, I'll be honest with you, at that particular time.
Who's the gaffer there?
Martin Yole.
Good gaffer.
But it was late. It was another last minute on deadline day type thing. I was with England. I was at Sopwell House. We had a match and we used to train at Arsenal's training ground. So I was at Sopwell House. I get a knock on the door. I think it was Steve McLaren, and he said, "Look, a bid's come in. You got to go and sign." It was like late, like 10 o'clock at night type thing.
No?
I could have said no, but you know, the option was to go back to Newcastle when I didn't know how that was gonna go and wait
What
it
happened
out.
to them that season?
They were down there. Like obviously we competed for top 4.
Okay.
And
Good business.
Yeah, but it was just the right move at the time. I knew it was the right move, but because I wasn't fully invested in it, I didn't get off to a great start there.
Yeah, now that Tottenham team had some exciting players on the come up. Tom Huddleston, Aaron Lennon, right wing, tearing it up.
It's giving JLS if
It's
you ask
giving
me.
light skin.
Yeah. There's a lot of light skin.
Everyone, they said
Power.
bare light skin, man.
I think Paul Scholes, is given the ratings that the same ratings Tom Huddleston had. He was pinpoint Tom. Ping.
Huddleston could-
He couldn't move like
left
him.
foot,
You didn't
right
look
foot.
left and he was gone, though.
I don't even think Scholes was more accurate than him, respectfully.
Yeah, but there was more than it was more.
No, there's more to his game, but I'm saying when man say he's sat nav.
Technically, it was a joke.
Tom Huddleston was cold.
He was like 2 years below me in Forest. So when I was going through that whole centre of excellence phase, when you're doing it at centre of excellence, you like say if I trained at 7, his team would have trained before us. He'd have been the group before, and he used to come off, and everyone used to look at him and be like, "There's no way this kid's 2 years
And was he
younger than
good
me."
then, yeah?
I didn't really know him then, to be honest with you. But what I did know, obviously being in Nottingham, I mean, he was playing for Derby when he was 15 or something.
So what
At
happens?
centre-back.
He leaves Forest and they buy him or not? Is it?
So when he was at Forest, they just let him go. They let him go because they said he was too slow.
Too slow.
They said he was too slow,
Then he
and
went
then he
Derby.
went to Derby, and then he's in the first team like 2-3
So was
years
that
later.
pace and power days? A lot of pace and power days.
I guess, but if he could pass like that.
The thing is, like the whole model changed at Forest at that time, and it went high fitness and technical ability, but it was all like high press, running, like and Tom, that wasn't his game. And sometimes that's just football; you just get caught out by the system.
Is that what happened with him? Why he ain't a like?
Nah, he mashed up his ankle.
Oh, is it? Okay.
He was on the verge of going to United. I think he had one ridiculous season at Spurs. I think it was the year we got in the Champions League, and he was doing some stuff that year where you were like, this guy, he's doing something special. And
How old is he then?
You could tell it was good.
He'd probably been like mid-20s, but every player has their moment, you know, of like when they're flying, and it's like for me, for example, when I was Young Player of the Year and I was absolutely flying, I wish there was like a major tournament at the end of that year because you're
would've
playing,
killed it.
yeah,
You'd
you're
have killed
playing,
it.
and you're on such a
It's like
high.
Rooney in that Euros.
Correct.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
with
yeah.
Tom, his moment kind of came, then he got his ankle injury and it just kind of faded out a little bit. And then our midfield at Spurs was
Left
good.
foot, right foot.
We had a serious midfield, so he was difficult. He was always in and out. I can't tell you what foot he was. He was like
Yeah,
Ledley.
left foot, right foot, you could see 6.
Ledley like that, yeah?
Ledley used to say to Ledley, "What foot are you?" He said, "I don't know. If you kick the ball in the air, I'll bring it down with my left foot. But if I want to hit a 60-yard die, I gotta hit it with my right foot." Just madness like that. Some players are just
Born with it.
That's like me.
talented like that. No.
So obviously, your first season at Tottenham with Martin Yole, you finished 5th.
Yeah.
Last day of the season,
Here he goes. Yeah.
lose to West Ham, but I'm feeling like I'm hearing there was a little bit of bellyache over there.
Sure.
I actually was injured at the time. I think I had a stress fracture in my knee, on my shin.
What did they eat? Do you know?
It was lasagna, wasn't it? Like it was. So when you go away, like there was like plates of lasagna or whatever. All I know is that I got a phone call from my mum and she's like, "Oh, they're trying to postpone the game or something like that." And I'm like, "What? What's going on here?" Like, because I was in the hotel, but obviously once you go to your room, you just go to your room. Like I don't want speaking to the lads. Come down in the morning and wow, like it was hell.
What, everyone bought down?
Everyone was finished. Like people, all the light skinned brothers are gone grey. Yeah, all the white guys are just gone like translucent. There's no life in
All
anybody.
the black guys got light
Yeah,
skin.
and the only player that was actually okay was Edgar Davids. Edgar was
belly.
Dread.
Dread.
Yeah, Rastafari.
Yeah.
Cockroach ability. Like,
Can't kill him.
Steve-O, he's a Ras.
Yeah.
He's Ital.
Yeah,
He probably didn't
everything,
consume
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
He probably didn't eat it.
did you eat? The
No,
lasagna?
I didn't stay in a hotel. But I ate at home, then went and met the lads in a hotel, and then went to the game with them the next day. But so I was all right.
So it was definitely the lasagna.
I think it was something in the hotel. Obviously, we don't know what it was, but for that many players to go down was mad.
Who was that team that the strongest? Like, who was the attack? Was that Berbatov, King?
Yeah, like Berbatov, King. Like we had a team.
Both of them were cooked.
Mate, that front two was different. But everyone's finished. Everyone's because
Aaron Lennon.
Azza was finished. Carrick was bad. Like, and the worst part was right. We're doing okay in the game.
Get him double
but then we're doing okay in the game. But then like Davids is having a nightmare, and he's only played it's okay. And Martin Yole goes to take him off, right? And Carrick comes flying over and he's like, "Don't you dare! Like, I've got to get off this pitch now. Like, I'm in bits. I'm literally gonna pass out." So he had to change the sub and say like, "All right, Edgar, you stay on. Carrick, you come off." And then you know what? It was a weird situation because obviously West Ham win the game. And I mean, I've never heard celebrations like it in my life. Like, I mean, I'm in this dressing room and everyone is being sick or it's coming out the other end. Like, toilets are full, sinks are full, people are running to find toilets anywhere they can, and it's just everyone's been sick. And then across the hallway, it's like they've won the Premier League. And I was just like, wow.
Yes, did they survive or something? Or?
I don't think it was a survival. I don't know if it was that. I think you were okay. I think you was happy you beat us, basically.
Well, because you lot were dickheads, innit? I'll be honest with you, I'm not saying you, Jay, but
No, it's cool.
You're definitely saying
Yeah, he
is.
is.
I didn't care. And to this day, I don't care that we celebrated it. It was mad. We celebrated it crazy. Even as fans, we celebrated it because we stopped you
Yeah.
from achieving shit.
That's what it was. And that's why I love Gerrard so much, because he stopped you.
So how do you feel about that?
No, shout out to Anton as well.
Yeah, you lot had a good team that year, do you know what I mean? So it was just unnecessary celebrations.
Anton, talking about having your breakout season, your season, Anton says that year was his breakout and he should have got in that England team. Do you remember? Is he right? No chance.
I don't think so.
Respectfully,
I think if you look at our weakest defender in that era, the players that weren't playing, go as deep as you want. Carragher?
What, Anton's now?
Carragher's probably on the fringes at that time, and he couldn't get a game at centre half. He's playing at right back if he was playing, and then you had Jonathan Woodgate, and then you had, it was too deep, way too
So
deep.
should Nigel REO-COKER got in that Euros? Then he was on standby. Yeah,
He came on the standby. Yeah, I think no, I don't think so. No.
he's honest.
No, Nigel had a great year, and I like that. But he probably would have took my place if he'd have gone. So no, I don't think he was better than me. So
He should have played. If he played to his strengths, Nigel REO-COKER, that's like I should have headed and volleyed. Yeah.
Centre back that don't header.
No, it's not that.
Volley.
These guys, they don't get it, Jay. They don't get it, bro.
Volley.
I said to you, I play up top. You said you can't play up top against me. You're too physical. I said, Steve-O, I reckon I'll beat you in the air. You don't head the ball.
The fact that you don't understand what I'm saying
It's movement.
is what I need to know.
It's
bro.
movement.
Allow it.
So obviously in that Tottenham team, Martin Yole eventually leaves.
Yeah.
But what happened?
But when he left,
Yeah.
it was mad. Even to this day, I don't know if I've ever seen a manager basically get sacked at half time. And it wasn't like he actually got sacked at half time, but everybody knew he'd been sacked. He knew before. He definitely knew before. We were playing in Europe, I think, or I think it was Europe or Villa, one of the two anyway. But he used to sit at the front of the coach, and we'd get on the coach on the way to the game, and he'd always be like, "Oh, you're right, JJ," or like, big game. He'd say something like as the players would come on, and as I kind of like got on the coach, he was just slumped in his chair like this, just head down. I thought, what's going on with him? And obviously this is kind of pre-social media again. But like by the time I'm getting to the dressing room, there's rumours flying around everywhere. It's like, oh, Martin Yole's been sacked and this, that, and the other. And then, his one is probably a less interesting story than the Juande Ramos one, which we can get to. But with Martin, great guy, top coach. But yeah, everything moves on, innit? He's managers, it happens. But we didn't get to find out exactly what happened with him. We just thought that's a bit effed up.
So one day Ramos comes in, a miracle happens. Tottenham lift a trophy.
I'll tell you what, right? This trophy, and even to this day, if you think about the amount of teams that actually win trophies these days, there's not loads. There's a group of them.
Now,
which is why my Tottenham team is still the last team to win something. They're hard to come across. And the run we went on at that particular time, there's some teams just have great runs, you know what I mean? Now, we had City away, and this time City are coming, by the way. They're starting to spend money, right? We've got City away, and we go down to 10 men in the first half. Dimitar Berbatov puts on arguably the best performance I've ever seen in a football pitch, like whilst I'm playing, not like watching it on TV. It was like having an extra player, having Dimitar in that particular game. But we win that game with 10 men. Then we got Arsenal over 2 legs. And, you know, obviously going to the Emirates at any time is difficult. But the reality is we're still climbing the mountain when it comes to Arsenal in terms of, like, they're always a better team, so we're still climbing the mountain. I scored in that game, and I think it's 1-1. I think Theo scored the other one. And then obviously we have, you know, the 5-1 game back at the Lane, which was it goes down in folklore, doesn't it?
I was gonna ask you that was match fixing, innit? Because that weren't. I think that ended. I think that's the first time Wenger lost to you lot. There was higher powers at play.
When you get experienced pros who have not won anything, all in the same team, a lot of desperation starts to kick in. Like, we need to win something.
That sounds like Arsenal.
And we just wanted it more, basically. And Arsenal always arrived thinking they're the guys. It was always like, you know, we'll beat them.
Bentley.
He scored the mad thing.
No, that was in the league. That was in the 4-4 game.
How good was he? Because he's from my end, so he's from Hertfordshire. I'm Enfield. Like, so I grew up with Benson playing against him. He was unreal. We used to call him Bird Camp, back in the day, because he played as a 10.
player.
How good was he?
Bentley was top, technically, like, seriously gifted. I mean, you know, people talk about like Becks and free kicks, and I know they always tried to compare him. It was legit. Like, but, Bents could do some stuff with a football, especially a dead ball. I actually told him not to sign for Tottenham, and I loved him. When he was at Blackburn, he had one of his best years, and me and him were both. No, I was. We both signed for Puma at the time, so we used to have to go and do campaigns together. And on this campaign, he's like, "Oh, I think I'm coming to Spurs," and I was like, "Don't do it." And he was like, "Why?" I said, "You're not going to play." I said, we've got Aaron Lennon on the right wing, and our game is speed. Do you know what I mean? Our game is like fly down that wing and score goals. And I don't see it working, Bent. And he was like, no, I'll get in. Anyway, he arrived, and Azza's like, mate, you're not taking this spot. It's as simple as that. But he, the year we actually qualified for the Champions League, Bent's had his probably best year for us. And it was mad because him and Harry like had this weird relationship. Like, they got on, but they also clashed at the same time. Redknapp. Oh, Harry, Kane. That was late.
I just said Harry, bro. Spurs. I don't know other Harry.
Do the maths.
Him and
Harry met Sally, bro.
Sorry. So him and Harry Redknapp, they clashed, but they also kind of got on a little bit. But at the same time, Harry weren't playing him, so Bents used to do this weird thing. So he used to come into the dressing room, and then he'd have his wash bag, and he'd go, "You right, boys? You right? Yeah, see you later." And this is before Harry's even named the squad. I'm in the squad, I'm in the stand, I'm off. And he did this for about 6-7 weeks, right? This one day he comes in, "All right, lads, bum. Anyway, he go, and then he sits down. And we're like, "What are you doing? You're not going?" He's like, "Oh, I'll hang around, innit?" And then he gets called into the office, comes out, anyway, and Harry used to do this thing, he used to annoy the life out of all of us. He never told us the team. So you'd have like a lot of like anxiety about whether he was playing or not, and we used to bang his office. Me and Ledley and Azza used to sit like on the wall that was to his office, and we'd sit there like smashing the wall, like, "Get out and tell us the team." And anyway, he'd come out eventually, flip the board, David Bentley right wing, out of nowhere. And he went on this run of like playing unbelievable, and then I think he got dropped before the game against City. You know, so it's Spence who chucks the water on Harry in the bucket when we qualified for the Champions League.
Because of that?
I think there's a little bit of that mixed in there.
He's funny.
But he was the one that definitely instigated it. He was like, "Let's get a bucket of water and throw it over him." And I think Jamie Redknapp was in the room, and he was going, "I don't think it's a good idea." And Bence is going, "Do one, I'll freaking do it." Yeah,
That's personal still.
Yeah, Benz is funny, man.
But he was a joker, but talent-wise, yeah, he had it all. But again, it's all got to marry for it to work.
It's
and
crazy,
you know,
isn't it?
I think for some players it works and some players it don't.
Some big signings came into Tottenham after that, man. Obviously, Luka Modric, he's still doing all right.
Special.
What about my uncle Jermaine Defoe?
Is that your uncle?
Yeah.
Robbie Keane, who was on that top teenager
from Liverpool.
list with you lot.
No, that was before. Your maths is
No,
shocking.
I think it was.
asking.
I think it was.
Shut up.
I think it was actually, yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut
No,
up.
that's before.
No. He went to Liverpool and come back, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One
yellow
sec.
card.
Both of you on a yellow.
Easy, man.
So when you signed for him, he was there already?
Yeah.
All right, listen, you two, yeah? You all right?
We're driving the show. Big up yourself. Hey, Bluetooth. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I see you what you're doing.
They're together now. Go on, do you
You
think?
got, was it Giovanni Dos Santos from Barcelona, who was a wonder kid?
He was
He's
cold.
meant to be the next Messi. And is it Jonathan Bostock?
John
John
Bostock.
Bostock, yeah, yeah.
Bad boy.
John Bostock.
He started off
He's
at Palace. If yeah, that was my age group. Sorry.
But chat to us about Luka Modric.
You know what? Before that, I'll give you a story about because one day Ramos got sacked, and you know, as you lot have been the first podcast to invite me back, I'll give you a little bit of gold. Yeah. So we basically obviously just won the League Cup with Juande, but we weren't having a good season. We was not having a great season at all. But you know, we've lost a lot of our players. Keno's gone to to Liverpool. Defoe's gone to Portsmouth. Berber's gone to Man United. We've lost a lot of our players or whatever. And out of nowhere, Daniel Levy, he comes into the training ground and he's like, right, I want a meeting with basically the senior group, like the captains, vice captains and so on. So it was me, Ledley and Jonathan Woodgate. Calls us to his house. So we go to his house, sat down in the kitchen and he's like, look, what do you think of Juande? And we're all like, listen, we love him. Like, we just won the cup with him. But the reality is, Daniel, you've sold all of our goals. We can play, but we can't score goals at the minute. Do you know what I mean? So it's costing us. And he's like, well, you know, Defoe wanted X amount a week and I weren't prepared to give it to him. And, you know, we had to accept the offer from United, blah, blah, blah. And we're to and fro in. And we basically walked out of his house going, listen, you got to give him a chance. We know there's a good manager there and we've seen it, which is why he was a big reason why we won that game against Chelsea. So we supported him. Anyway, so we got this game now against Bolton and we were staying in Canary Wharf. It's 10 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night. I get a knock on the door. Alan Hutton comes to my door and he's like, Jay, meeting downstairs. And I'm like, it's 10:30 at night, stop taking a piss. I think he's winding me up. So I go downstairs and there's like a long table, like a boardroom. The whole team sat there, coaches, coaches, and then Daniel Levy's just stood at the end of the table. Gets us all there. He goes, right, just to let you all know, I've relieved Juande Ramos of his duties. Harry Redknapp's going to be joining the team, and Clive's going to take over the game tomorrow.
Clive who?
Clive Allen. So obviously, me, Woody, and Ledley have just looked at each other. He obviously doesn't respect a word we say. Like, what was the point in getting us in the first place? So yeah, that was, you know, that's pretty much how Juande got sacked in the end. But the funny thing around it was he brought back Robbie Keane, he brings back Defoe, and then I think he eventually signs Peter Crouch as well. So it was like, we knew the reason why we weren't winning. It was just basically we needed goals. But you know, these like that list of players that he's mentioned there, and obviously Luka Modric was like, Luka, when he arrived, nobody knew what he was. That was the problem. I think I'd watched the game when Croatia knocked out England at Wembley. Remember the Brolly night? Yeah. And he
Wally with the Brolly.
Yeah, and he was balling that night. It was a joke. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm buzzing. We've got him
Centre
in the team.
midfielder or left wing or what?
This is the thing. He was just like, I think he used to float in from the left a little bit and cause problems.
Him and Nico, no?
Yeah, Cranchar as well. And they, anyway, we signed him, and Harry originally didn't really know what to do with him. He was like left wing. Well, everyone said Harry put him left wing, put him in a pocket, and you got to give Harry credit. In the end, he went, no, he's a centre midfield player.
What was he like in training? Like before, when people weren't sure about him, what is he still doing? You're thinking, hang on, we've got to get him on.
I think like the first 6 months were tough for him, just to kind of getting used to everything. But then after that, once he went into midfield, I'm not seeing many things like it.
Trevella. Was it Trevella? Was it there then?
No, but it was just tough to get hold of. You couldn't get near him. He was quicker than people thought he was. He was stronger than people thought he was. Skillful like you won't believe. But for me, the biggest thing I got from playing with him, and bearing in mind we've mentioned all these greats like Lampard and Gerrard and stuff today, as an English midfield player, you're kind of coached in straight lines. So you're like, if you want to receive the ball from your right back, you stand here. And you're box to box. That's your game, Jermaine. You're a box to box midfield player. So everything's in straight lines. Luka was like playing in the Matrix. He was like popping up at right back, but then getting the ball, dribbling with it, 1-2, step over. Next thing he's on the edge of the box. So the opponent couldn't get near him because he was picking up the ball in areas that are like not normal to the English game, really. And this is not brand new, but this is the first time I've probably properly seen it. And he was just like, he's just so elusive and so clever.
Playing alongside someone like that, was it hard for you?
Not really, because I was adaptable as a midfield player. I had games if I played with Palacios, I was expected to get forward and score goals and do stuff because Wilson was better without the ball. He didn't even want the ball. He just was like, him and Sandro were like, don't give me the ball. I just want to smash someone. That was it. That was their vibe. Whereas when you played with Luca, I was like, go and do your thing. I'll support you. That was it.
You turned into Wilson per se.
Not Wilson. That's disrespectful, but I'm joking. Wilson was a player, but I wasn't like, that is exactly what happened. I would kind of go, Luca, you're the one who's going to win this game for us. Go and create. I'll support and just like keep things ticking over. But so it was like great to play with him. I loved playing with Luca because he just made your team so much better.
So there's Luka Modric, Wilson Palacios,
Sandro, Tom Huddleston.
Tom Huddleston.
Yeah.
Was you there with Mouassa Dembele? He's like a mythical figure at Filthy Fellas. We all know this is the guy that wasn't the guy, that's the guy.
When he arrived, I knew that was the end for me.
Okay.
Every player who has their kind of like, every experienced player when they get into the end of their careers at certain clubs, there's always one player that arrives. I mean, we spoke about it earlier with me and like people like Andrew Johnson at Forest. It was Dembele for me. Like I just ruptured my Achilles, so I was nowhere near my best. But I remember being in training and watching him and thinking, this guy is like, he is different.
And he comes at 23 years old. Is he around that age? 22, 23?
It's mad. When we signed him, Hugo Lloris, and Dempsey. In the
not
same,
a bad window, you know.
In the same window. And we made them all do initiations, innit? So it was like, do initiation, we're all sat there. And Hugo Lloris gets up and sings the French national anthem, and you're like, oh, God, that awkward, but well done. You're brand new, like, you know.
He's
crack
smart.
on.
He's smart.
I can't remember what. Musa was one of the shyest guys ever when he first arrived, so he just kind of just about got through. Clint Dempsey did a freestyle rap on every single player in the team.
Jesus.
What?
I'm not surprised.
Americans.
He went around the whole
Americans.
team just rapping, but naming your name in the rap, and then would move on to the next one. He went around the whole team, did a freestyle. I was just
He's got
like,
personality, isn't he?
bro, he's a joke. Like, I think he's got some tunes out as well. Like, I'm telling you, Dempsey.
Yeah.
It's not just the world.
He's a rapper. Like, that's what he does. Yeah.
So what I want to ask you is, I watch a lot of Harry Redknapp's like stuff.
Yeah.
What is he like as a manager?
I always explain it with Harry. Like, he wasn't. I don't think tactics were his like top bag. If I'm honest with you, I don't think he was great tactically. I think he knew how to put the best team out to win a game of football. That is it. And I think sometimes football's simple like that, you know. And whether that was I need more strength in my side today, or I need more pace, or I need more skill, he just knew. And he would shock you sometimes. There were so many games you thought you were playing, and you'd be like, I'm not playing you. I'm playing like Wilson and Sandro in midfield, and you'd be like, what? But he was very good at that. His understanding of football was elite.
It's a tactic in itself, though, I guess, right?
That's what I mean. I think now we look at tactics like Pep and people like Jurgen Klopp and even Arteta, like get in a pocket and. I said Jurgen Klopp, bro. This win, I've won with Jurgen Klopp, all right?
Come on.
So I suppose tactically that is one of those things that you look at and kind of go, he knew how to put a team together definitely.
Sometimes it's simpler, no, because I see my manager put out a lot of teams that I'm like, that's not your best players. You're trying to be over tactical.
Who would you say the manager that understood you and got the best out of you?
Bobby Robson. By a mile, yeah. I'd say Bobby and Juande Ramos were the two that understood me the best, yeah.
Old.
Well, Juande was just very simple. I like, all players are like, give me a job to do and I will do it. And sometimes with Harry, I felt like it was because I was good at both things. I could get forward and score goals, and I was box to box and could get back. The actual direction was not clear all the time. It was a little bit clouded at times, and I'd just go out there on a free will. Whereas with Juande, he was just like, look, Jermaine, your job is not to come too far past this halfway line. Your job is to go forward. I want Keane and Berbatov to do this, and I want you to support them and get past them. Because Keno and Berba not running channels. They want to come short on ball. Like Keno like to drop in midfield, and Berba just wants it to his chest. And so he was like, I need you to get past them. So I don't want you having to do too much defending. For me, that was like a dream. I was like, oh, buzzing. I ain't got to go back and defend. I'm just going to go forward. So because I had that clarity of just like get forward and score, I had one of my probably best years at Spurs that year. But Bobby was more, Like you wanted to kill for him, but he always had smart ways of doing it. He'd like pull me on midweek and be like, "Listen, you play well this weekend, then you can go back to Nottingham for like 4 days." And I'd be like, "What?" And he'd be like, "I'd play well," and he'd be like, "Go on, get on the motorway. I'll see you on Thursday." I'd be like, "What dream gone?" And you want to kill people for that. So he was just brilliant at that side of it.
You hear stories like that. So there's two like that. There's one. Do you remember a player called Lionel Morgan?
Yeah, bro, he was a joke.
There we go. Right,
He was one of the
Unreal.
best, man. Like,
he got
I don't know what happened to Lionel, man. Jeez,
He had a bad knee. Yeah.
Bro,
So
he was
got
like next
told-
John Barnes, bro. He was
Yeah,
a
man.
joke.
Unreal. Best player.
So yeah, so after Tottenham now, spent a season on loan at Villa in the Premier.
Picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually supposed to go to City. It was a mad move. It was crazy how it happened. Like,
You meant to go City.
I was close to go to City. No, it was Mancini.
Wow, good shit.
But I was at I was at Spurs. I think we was playing against United, and I got a phone call from David Platt afterwards, and he was like, "What's going on? Like, why are you not playing?" And I was like, "Look, me and Harry. Some days it's good. It's like being like with your missus. Like, it's good days and bad days. Like, that's just what me and Harry were like." And he just said, "Look, what about City? Like, he said, look, you know, obviously we've got a top team and everything. You're not going to start every week, but do you fancy it? It's going to be Champions League, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Yeah, of course." So, I mean, it's probably tapping up, isn't it? It's officially tapping up. But it's too late now anyway. But anyway, so I'm like, look, all over it. Like, I'll go. I remember coming into the training ground and like Brad Friedel was like, "Oh, you're going City, aren't you, I think?" And I was like, "Well, just waiting on the call, really." And yeah, I remember because I think Brad and Brian Marwood were very tight at that particular time. So when Brad said it, I was like, okay, yeah, this is getting deeper and deeper. And I'd been speaking to Platty and it was like, yeah, it's happening or whatever. Anyway, I'm sat in the dressing room one day and I was like, you know, Sky Sports News is always on and the yellow bar comes up at the bottom and it was like, Owen Hargreaves doing a medical at Manchester City. And I'm like, that can't be good for me. That can't be good. And I spoke to Owen about it and he went, "Mate, you know what's mad about that situation?" He says, I was at West Brom. He said, I was at West Brom, about to sign for West Brom. I'd agreed everything. And I went back to Manchester that night and I went out for a bite to eat and Mancini was in the same restaurant. He says, and then he came in and he was like, "Oh, because they needed like English players for their quota." And so they ended up taking Owen and I ended up going to Villa. But I mean, I ruptured my Achilles in the end, so it wouldn't have worked out either way.
Nah, I was gonna say that big injury, then obviously back to Forest.
Yeah, 36 was back on the back. I loved it. Yeah.
How was that for you, feeling like you was back home?
It was. Look, I knew what it was. It was just a way for me to get fit again. But to be back home again, you know, playing in front of my people, put my number back on my shirt was nice and singing my name. They always had a song for me, which was amazing and stuff like that. But, you know, I had a bit of a, like, the manager there, Sean O'Driscoll, was, how can I put it? So, like, he was one of them, I really rated his coaching, actually. I thought his coaching, tactically, how he set up the team, I liked all that about him, but he had this kind of, like, inferiority complex as well, where he felt like I was just going to take control of the team, basically. And he always used to just say to me, like, what can I say to you? I can't say anything to you. And I'm like, "Sean, that is not the point. The point is, look at me like a coach. Because what I say, these players are going to do. So just use me to your advantage." And he was not buying into it. So he's like bringing me on in the odd game. And then the last day of my loan at Forest, playing Barnsley away, scored this goal. And the whole stadium singing my name or whatever. And we get on the coach and obviously everyone's buzzing. We won the game. And as I went to walk off the coach, Sean's like, "Oh, guess I'm going to have to re-sign you then." And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Do you know what I mean? So it was that bittersweet. It was nice to go home, but at the same time, there was a lot of friction internally because essentially the owner of the football club bought me at the time. And I think Sean looked at it and was like, "I've never had to manage anybody like that, so I don't really need it." And that it was difficult, but I had a good time. I met some great people as well.
Obviously, after that now,
Yeah.
you've got the call. I want to know, you've gone to QPR,
Yeah.
right? And I want to know, like, how far into this project?
Oh, yeah, it was deep.
It was like ACN. Remember ACN?
Oh, hey.
Remember ACN? That was an ACN.
The man that come in suits
Yeah,
outside
so
your
I
yard.
want to know, like, how far in the pyramid scheme did they manipulate you? Because there was a lot. No, because let's have it right. They got a squad over there. Julio Cesar, Park Ji-sung.
Yeah, we had a team.
Sean Rat Phillips was over there.
Rio
Ferdinand.
Adel Tarap.
Yeah.
Vargas.
Who's
Yeah,
the
we had
striker?
some
Charlie Austin?
Charlie came.
Charlie
we had Loic
was-
Remy up top as well.
Yeah,
Wow, I remember
Stefan
that.
Mbia in midfield.
Yeah.
All 80 bags.
Diakate.
Everyone's 80
We had some-
bags.
Yeah, mad team.
So how like was a couple of them there already before you went?
They were all there. I came in January.
Ah,
They
see
were
it,
already
yeah.
bottom of the league when I arrived, like in January. Like, that relegation is not on my CV. It's not on my CV,
You're
bro.
just trying to get back to London.
That's what it was. 'Cause I had 2 clubs at the time, and the other club was Sunderland. I think Martin O'Neill was at Sunderland. Martin O'Neill had been trying to buy me for years when he was at Villa, and I kept turning him down, and then he is at Sunderland. And actually at the time, I didn't even notice Sunderland, but my agent rang me and he's like, "There's 2 clubs," and I was like, "I just know one of them's Sunderland." And anyway, I said to him, it was like deadline day, and I said, "Look, I can't go to Sunderland, mate. It just kills the Newcastle thing too much, you know what I mean? And I respect the Newcastle thing too much, so I didn't want to do it. And I think it didn't work out for whatever reason. Weirdly, I went to QPR the day before to speak with Harry and the owners with David Bentley. Me and Bence went in there, and we walked out of there thinking we're both going to QPR. And then when I went back the next day, I was with Andros Townsend, and I was like, Bence, what's going on? He's like, I don't know, bro. Like, I think I'm going Russia. Bence didn't care around those times. But look, that team. I mean, I looked at it and I was like, how are they bottom of the league? Like, it's impossible with this team, they're bottom of the league. And then I got into the dressing room and I was like,
Okay.
See why?
So what was it then?
oh no, yeah, money. There was just too much money talk all the time. Like, all the players just want to talk about money, like, constantly. And there was just clicks everywhere.
Did you have both managers that season? Because it was, I'm sure it started off. Mark
I only had
Hughes.
Harry. I only had Harry.
It started off as Mark Hughes, innit? Yeah.
I only had Harry.
So
Okay.
what was the reason that all those good players, it's only that they were just not interested?
You got to think about, right, what are the reasons why these players are there? And it's like, no disrespect to QPR, but why is Julio Cesar at QPR, right? He's in London and he's on 200 bags a week, right? Is why he's there.
What year is that again, sorry?
Is that 012 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
That's
12.
crazy.
And-
QPR paying that.
Yeah, so I mean that's what I think he was on anyway. And then you had other players arriving. So what you had is a situation when I look at it now. You had all these like super agents getting into kind of Tony Fernandez, and with respect to Tony Fernandez, he's not a football man. He's a great guy and a lovely guy, but he's not a football man. And I feel like he got manipulated quite a bit. But we got some great players. But the theory was, buy great players, you stay in the league. That's not football. It doesn't work like that. And I can honestly say, like, most players that went out there, Ji-sung Park, what a ledge. Like, love that guy. And some player. But everyone's doing the individual thing. Everyone's thinking, I'm here to collect the bag, live in London, and just wait for my next move.
Obviously, loads of my friends are big Man U fans. Are seeing Rio over there.
Getting tore up, getting tore.
You can't bring them White City estate. Have you seen where Loftus Road is? It's on the block. They're not used to this.
No.
you
It's fully on the
understand?
block, innit? Yeah. No, but they were, look, weirdly, the year we went down, as in like when we were in the championship, was a good year. Because, everybody left. Weirdly, they all just did what they did and played for like top teams. But then we kind of had like a core group of like more like British players and, a few foreigners in there that actually cared. And we're a bit like, what's happened past is just been a shambles. Let's now do something for the club because it's been a joke. And, just like little things that we all got together and said, look, no win bonus. Like we all had win bonuses in our contracts and we all forfeited the win bonuses to...
How much is it?
I'm not going to tell you, but we're good. It was a decent number, but the reality behind it was, if we get promotion, we'll collect it in full. But obviously, that was an incentive. It was, so you had, I think it was like Clint Hill, Jerry Barton, to be fair to him, and Sean Derry got together and was like, listen, let's do this because we want the club to be better. We did it. We put in, and we got promoted.
Got
So
promoted.
yeah,
Obviously
and then we
know
come
what
back up and
happened.
they made the same mistakes, basically. So and they went back down.
Bought big again.
Not as big, but they made similar
Because
mistakes and went down.
you survived that season.
That's
That
the
was
year I
Man City.
retired.
See it
So,
there?
but I was around the club. So when I'm at the club now, obviously, I'm trying to rehab my knee, Rio's there, Glenn Hoddle's come onto the staff. There's a few players that we bought, whatever. Like I think that's when Vargas came and all those boys. So I'm watching, but at this point now, I've just started like my match of the day career, and they're bottom of the league. And I'm doing match of the day, doing analysis on them, and then walking into the changing room on a Monday morning.
Bro.
Well, to be fair though, it was beautiful because it allowed me to really mold my technique of analysis. Because I was never ever going to be the guy that's just like trying to get clicks. You know, I'm not just going to shout from the rooftops for the sake of it, because I respect the players too much, and I also like to have relationships with the players. So I was speaking harsh and speaking truths and exposing certain things about the team. You know, to the point where like Harry would stop me in the hallway and be like, "Oh, I saw your analysis, you were spot on." And then I remember one day I come into the dressing room and like all the lads kind of like congregated around me, and I'm thinking, "Oh, here we go!" Like, and they were like, "What's it like on match of the day?" That's it. They were more interested in life after football than they were what's going on.
Life after football now. So you see your transition from player to pundit.
Yeah.
What was that like? Did you kind of know you wanted to be a pundit? Did you think, nah, maybe I'll do the coaching route?
It's interesting. I saw you ask Micah this same question, and I had the same answer of Micah. I didn't want to do it.
Do you want to do it?
Oh, I think me and Micah, in terms of the end of our careers, it was very similar. You know, there's a lot of injuries there, and there's a lot of down moments and a lot of sadness, and it just pisses you off. In the end, you just like, I just want to get away from this. And I remember Chris Ramsey, who was, he's the guy that
Wicked coach. I had him at Orient.
Top coach. Yeah, he was a top coach, but he's the one that brought
you've
through.
You've got someone on here that does. I said, take advantage of it. Don't get upset.
I wasn't doing it.
Take your brethren's chain off.
I was him.
Anyway, let me land, as you man say. Let me land, innit? So Chris Ramsey was like, "Look, Jermaine, do you want to get your boots on, come out and coach?" And I was like, "You know what, Chris? I couldn't think of anything worse right now. I just want to get out of here." So I went home, obviously, for a few months. I mean, I was on a hospital bed, basically, in my living room. Like, the World Cup in Brazil's going on, and, you know, I'm rehabbing my knee. And then I got a phone call from the BBC saying, "Look, do you fancy, like, just doing something?" I did some commentary. I mean, it was for radio. I would hate to hear that back. Like, I walked off knowing it was a terrible commentary, but thanking God it was on radio. But at the same time,
I remember you was actually good, bro.
Was
Obviously
I?
for yourself, you're
Yeah.
probably looking at it thinking,
I just felt like I was just waffling. You know, it's hard. Like when you don't do commentary, and then for the first time you do it, it's all so quick. You don't know how to slow down, and you have to teach yourself how to do it.
Oh, were you first comms?
My very first commentary.
No, but were you weren't co-comms?
I was co-comms. Yeah,
okay,
I was
okay,
co-comms.
yeah.
But the thing was, it was like on radio, and it was a way to bring me through. But a bit like what Michael was saying, you lose a lot of yourself at the end of your career, and you know, phone stops ringing. Nobody's interested anymore. You got nowhere to go. You ain't got to go training. I'm doing school runs and cooking food. I was just a dad after that, and then this gave me some purpose. And then I found out I was good at it, and I enjoyed it. And I did my first match of the day 2. With Mark Lawrenson, and it was a QPR game, and they played against Man United, and they got battered. And you know, and obviously, when you're from the dressing room immediately, I'm seeing things they're not seeing because I'm with them, like, and I know the tactics and I know what's going on. So, and that's the beauty of being kind of a modern player coming into punditry, and it's one of the big reasons why I knew I had to go into presenting, because I clocked it. I was like, you're not going to be brand new all the time, so you're going to have to eventually start asking the questions because. What can I talk? Like, what's my experience of VAR, for example? I didn't play with VAR, and that's how the game changes. So you got to, move, and that's eventually what got me into it. And yeah, I, loved it at the time.
Would you ever go into coaching?
I think about it a lot. I do. Yeah, I think that it's something that all footballers have inside them in terms of like, what would my team look like? I think the problem for me is I had a really young family at the time, and I'd neglected a lot of that around just being a footballer and being selfish. And I wanted to spend some time with them, so it was like, let me just go down that road for a little bit. But I never say never. It's definitely something I look at now.
So let me ask you this, because me as an Arsenal fan, I had my Jermaine Jenas journey. It was all over the place.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
it was Newcastle, won the kid. Then all of a sudden, you're wearing all white. I'm saying, what's he doing over there? You get me? And then QPR but then when you've become a pundit, I just remember you openly hating Arsenal so much.
I don't think that's the case.
No, listen, I can't, there's a specific clip, yeah, where it's like you're in there and it's the two other presenters, they're kind of got an Arsenal bias.
Match
and
on TV2.
You don't like it, bro.
MOT
You are
TV2.
not you're doing the KG. No, when KG just breaks up play here, you're doing the KG. You're like, no, we should.
Yeah, but like, look, if you think about it, right, in the punditry world, there's a dominant space. There's a lot of Man United pundits and there's a lot of Liverpool pundits. And at that particular time, Wrighty, Martin
Nah, we're
Keown,
probably
Lee
next.
Dixon,
We're
there was a
probably
lot
next
of
after.
Arsenal
Yeah, after.
pundits. There weren't loads of Liverpool, a lot of Spurs pundits around that particular time. And you got to fight your corner. It's as simple as that. And, you know, and my mind was, I'm repping Spurs right now. So if I feel like Arsenal need to get it, they're going to get it. But the reality is, I'm more harsh on my own teams than I am on anyone.
Now, you was harsh on Spurs.
I'm way
You was.
more harsh
You
on
was.
Spurs.
You
I
was
get more
harsh
stuff
on
from Spurs fans going, oh, like, give us a blight, let us off. Because I expect more from them. Like, they're lucky I ain't been a pundit this year.
Are you more Spurs than Newcastle or more Newcastle than Spurs?
I'm Forest.
I respect that.
I'm a Forest
I
fan.
respect that.
I'm a
I
Forest fan at heart. So,
Roll it back.
Go.
You said about the end of your career. I spoke to Bobby Zamora the other day. I don't know if you're Bobby and Mark
yeah.
Noble, right? Yeah. And he was saying towards the end of your career, like you said, where your friends stopped phoning you and people stopped asking, like, he said one of the things he done, and he said he rang Mark and told him was, mate, with Adidas, go and get all your bits now.
Yeah,
Like, load up. Is
for
that
real.
a true thing that happens? Yeah.
I was Nike. Nike. But no, yeah. I mean, I robbed Spurs. Like, I took their stuff from there. Yeah. All of the gym equipment. I was taking everything. I was like, if I'm taking something from here,
I'm
that
leaving with
Denzel
something.
clip in it. I'm leaving with something. No, the big thing that hits you the most, because that stuff, like, you can buy it or whatever. But the big thing is you work out kind of who's who in your life. Do you know what I mean? And that's almost like what I've had with this recent experience. Is like a lot of footballers, they're your colleagues. They're your colleagues. You're not your friends. Do you know what I mean? They are people that come through your life. They play for the same team. You have amazing experiences. You have bad experiences on and off the pitch, but they're not your friends. And the quicker you realize that, then the easier it is for everyone, basically.
So let me ask you this, JJ. You said something twice now.
What's that?
You said that you're lucky that you're not
Yeah,
a
pundit.
pundit. They're lucky you're not a pundit now. And you also said this recent experience. Without incriminating any of my filthy fellas here, we've also had experiences, and we understand. How is it? Because as you've said as well, we're the first to kind of invite you back. So we're not here to hurt you, bro.
Oh, I
This
know
is
that.
family trees. But how's it been?
Clearly some tough moments. It's been an experience that, you know, you don't want to live, you know, constantly. There's no doubt about that. It was the initial phases were very hard, but it was hard for different reasons. Like, I've lived in the press my whole life, so I understand how they work, and I understand that they can overinflate things and they can manipulate the public how they want and when they want. And in my situation, my big concern was my ex-wife, my ex-wife, and my family, because they hadn't experienced it. So look, I was going through a lot of stuff with the BBC and just internally on my own with what I wanted to do next anyway. Like, I felt like at the BBC I was coming to the end because they wasn't putting me in a position that I felt like I deserved to be at that particular time. And a lot of like the contract talks were just going a bit wild, and I just wasn't happy, essentially. Now, obviously, you know, when what happened, it was more to do with how big it went that kind of like shocked me, you know, in a weird way, if you know what I mean. I obviously understood, you know, what I had done, and the one thing that always stuck with me was like, God, I've not actually broke any laws here. Like, I've made a mistake, and I've always held my hand up to that. Do you know what I mean? And it is what it is. It's one of those things where you kind of just go, look, to move through these moments, there's one thing you have to do, right? And I've seen a lot of people kind of like fall short on certain things in their work life that's been brought up into the public this year, and you just got to take responsibility. It's as simple as that. You know, as a man, you just got to kind of go, I made a mistake.
Accountability.
I made a mistake. I'm accountable for that, and I have paid a price, and it's been a heavy price. You know,
Too
I mean,
much, in my
when you
opinion.
kind of go, every job, family, you know, it is what it is, you know. But at the same time, there's been some rewards in there, which are, you know, you find out a lot about yourself. You have to grow. You have to mature in terms of just kind of like, and that's where that kind of accepting responsibility for your actions kind of comes in a lot. But at the same time, you find out who's who. Like I now like, you know, I can see every single person in the room very clearly.
Do you like yourself now more than before?
I'll definitely enjoy this side of me more, because I think what was happening with me at the BBC, which was annoying me, and other, you know, platforms that I was working on, is I became this just like, everyone looked at me as this super polished robot, corporate, like he's not going to make a mistake, like he's, you know, it's too hard to maintain that image when it's not you.
You have to go back to the key side mentality.
No, the bottom line is I'm from the estate. Yeah. I'm from the estate. Do you know what I mean? I grew up around, you know, half my family's black, half my family's white. You know, I've been in around it all, and I went onto a family show on the BBC, which then propelled me into a different stratosphere that I actually wasn't aware of, if I'm totally honest with you. I didn't realize it. Yeah, and I think it's that clean nature to how they position you, not how they're living, but how they position you, that I think is quite unsustainable for any human being. And then they get to pick and choose when you fall.
The crowd's gonna get me. They think I allow all the guests, but it was a bit. They was harsh, man. It was a bit because, like you said, no laws, bro.
Yeah, but let me tell you how it works. Right, this is how it works. So essentially, like when the press find out the story, which was leaked internally, by the way, I think from someone at the BBC, you got to pick your poison. It's as simple as that. You've got the Daily Mail on one hand going, we got the story, and then you got the Sun on the other side going, we got the story, and then the other one, whoever you don't pick's going, we're going to destroy your life. So you're kind of going, well, you know, they're both bad. I'll just pick someone that either, you know, my PR people tell me to go to.
So hold on, how does that work? What do you mean you get to pick?
Well, I'm the one, you know, there was a point there when I was going to go, I had to basically speak, really, because it blew up. You know, it's front pages everywhere. I was on air on Talk Sport at the time when it dropped. And then there's that element of let's try and gain some control in the situation, because it's a runaway train at that particular point. And obviously I'm frazzled in my mind. I'm just like, I've pulled up at my house and there's like 25 photographers, news crew, and they've camped outside my house for like a week. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that mad. So I'm not, probably when I look back now, mentally, I probably wasn't in a great position to be making sound decisions. So I had lawyers and PR teams around me to try and help me. But what I mean by I have to pick is they've come to me and gone, the Sun have got the story, the Mail have got the story. I've got probably better contacts at the Sun, so we need to speak to them or we need to speak to the Mail. And then you kind of go, right, let me speak to the Sun, as in I'll do a sit-down interview with them. But the minute you pick to do a sit-down interview with one,
The other goes ham.
The other are like, we're going to kill you.
Hey, Jay, you remember when you come out, because I've followed this, so you come out straight away, you said you was on air, and straight away you done that statement.
Yeah, the day after. It was the day, because I was on air at 4 till 7, and then the next morning I did the statement.
Would you wish you never done a statement and just let it, like, took time with that?
Potentially, yeah. I think it's all hindsight, isn't it? Yeah. Look, the thing that annoyed me most about it all, and, you know, like I said, you know, I am pretty sure that the information was leaked, essentially. So because it was leaked, it was reported in like a panicky way. It wasn't reported with any clarity whatsoever. So when they're saying things like Jermaine Jenas sacked for inappropriate behavior, that can be anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Too broad.
So you're taking, you know, what I have built over the last 10 years and, you know, you're ruining it to a next level, especially when you're talking about BBC, who have had, you know, I've got some historical stuff.
Yeah, bad stuff.
You know, on their side that they've not been able to address in the right way. So with me, that's where I was like, I need to start talking, because all of this inappropriate behavior stuff, I needed to go, no. Let's just settle this down. All right. I'm talking to an adult and she's talking to me. This was a couple of text messages. And it was between me and her. Like, let's just get this straight. Consensual text messages between me and her. There was no pictures sent. It was just, you know, it was just sexting, essentially, is what it was, right? Now, should I be doing that? No, I shouldn't be doing that. And that's where you kind of got to go, I'm a married man. That I shouldn't be putting myself in that position anyway. And that's where you have to hold yourself accountable and say, I made the mistake, I move on. I think the side of it where it's like front page news for like 2 weeks and like even like now, if I'd go out with my friends, like the Mail, or just write a story about it.
Yeah.
You
Serial
know,
cheat.
I went out and bought something for my ex-wife the other day for Mother's Day, and
Same for someone
the
else.
press are following me around Mayfair and taking pictures of me, and it's like, and then and what they do is they post a picture, and then they just tell the whole story again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So they use any moment of my life to just tell the whole story again. So, you know, they don't probably give you that ability to move on. You know, there's a lot here where, you know, people in the media have made mistakes over the years.
They pay for it.
I don't know if many people have paid as harshly as I've paid in terms of time. I've spent a whole year out of work.
Now let's have it right. Like, there's been footballers. We're not gonna name names here.
No, but
they've been
yeah.
done for things like racism, other serious things, and it's documented. It's known.
Still
It's not
working,
alleged.
still.
Yeah.
They're sitting down with Gary Neville in his cinema room, but talking about their career. It's big facts. No, it's big facts, though.
I say it all the time. All us on Filthy, we look a certain way. You understand? So we understand,
Of course, yeah.
what's going on.
100%.
We get it.
And he
We
was
get it.
climbing up the ranks, and he was good.
The conspiracy theorist in me says that it's curious timing between the contracts and the
Match of
where
the
you
day
were at
situation.
Match of the day.
Match of the day, and
Next
then,
host.
The only thing is with that is like, and there's only one person on the planet really that can testify to this, but I didn't want the job. I didn't want it, right? And everybody was lining me up for this job, right? And there's a couple of reasons why. Look, I hugely respect Match of the Day and I love the show. And, you know, I'd probably still be doing it now, you know, if I had the opportunity. But the thing was, you see a lot with these shows. You know what I mean? And I watched Match of the Day in my eyes when I first arrived. And bearing in mind, when I arrived, I used to go and jump in Lineker's seat. Lineker could be like getting his makeup done. I used to go and jump in his seat, and I used to say to this woman called Michelle who did his auto cue. I said, Michelle, put the auto cue up. And I'd sit there and practice and be like reading Match of the Day, and I'd be like, oh, this is sick. What a job, blah, blah, blah. And then over the years, I kind of watched it go a bit like this, and I watched them with Gary in terms of like how much they're trying to kind of like put him in a box. And then also, you know, he was on 1.7 million when I arrived. Then it went down to like 1.3, and then they're trying to chop him again. And then there was like, obviously, because all the wages get given to the public, Zoe Ball was, second, I think, on the list. Now she's gone. Is that a coincidence? So their mentality at the BBC, for me, wasn't about developing talent. It was about trying to save money.
But do you know what? You probably would have known this.
Anyways, sorry to put in, but I did say there's only one person on the planet, didn't I? Yeah, it's Austin Healy, basically, the rugby player. So I was playing in a golf event with him last year in Scotland. And he was the same. He was like, oh, Jermaine, like, you know, heir to the throne. And I was like, I don't want it, Austin. And he was like, and he absolutely battered me. And he was like, you're an idiot. You're this. I said, Austin, I'll be honest with you, like, as much as I love and respect the job, I just don't personally see myself sitting in that office for the next 30 years. And I think that the person that takes that job, that's what I feel like they should do. Because that's what Des did. That's what Gary did. And that's the survival of that show, which is why I'm disappointed that it's gone to a three-way split, personally. Like, I look at, you know, all of them in their own right. Kelly, Chappers, and obviously Gabby, unbelievable presenters. Like, and for as long as they've been doing it, they're all good enough to get the job. I personally think, you know, Chappers should have got it, really, because he was doing Match of the Day 2 anyway. And
Did he get
it? No, all three of them are going to do it. So he is doing it. And I was definitely not going to walk into a situation like that. I was not going to go. And the reason, and why do you think it's a three-way split? They don't want to give anybody the money. They don't want to say, you're the main guy in Match of the Day. Here's a big contract. So this way, you know, obviously, you know, Gabby's sensational anyway. And they're all going to do a great job. But I just don't, you know, I'm not a big fan of what they've done. But it's the way it is.
BBC do this everywhere, you know. That's across radio. That's across music. That's across everywhere. BBC,
but you feel it when you're
this.
talent. You feel it because I'm in my eyes. I'm like, all I've done for 10 years is work my socks off and become better. And I actually do radio, commentary, co-commentary on TV. I presented the African Cup of Nations. I presented an FA Cup Match of the Day. I'm like, I've done everything I possibly can to get myself into this position for you to just come to me and go, Jermaine, and they couldn't do it. So it was just like, fair enough. You know, I felt like they'd made their decision, and I was like, that's, you know, I make peace with that. It's cool, and you know, that's why I didn't sign any more contracts with them.
Can I ask you something? Obviously, public knowledge. I'm not with my family and whatnot. Had a couple of rough months.
Yeah.
How are you, like, in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if I'm honest with that side of it, Steve, I'm not sure that is hit home yet. I feel like my ex-wife's been amazing because she has understood the scenario that we've been in as a family in terms of a very like siege mentality type thing, and kids first is our kind of like motto. It doesn't matter. Like, we have to just be the best parents we can possibly be. So I've been spending so much time at home. Like, I'm at home a lot because she needs help with the kids. I'm taking them to school. So not loads has changed, really. It's just mine and her relationship has just gone into more of a friendship than a relationship. But I do believe there's going to come a moment where I'm probably going to sit in my apartment one day and just be a bit like, raw, this is mad. Like, I had my whole family around me every single day. I'm not hearing that pitter patter of feet, and that is going to be the tough side of it. But it's also, you know, it's part of just dealing with the situation. And the reality is, like, me and my wife ain't split up because I sent some text messages to, you know, some people at work. We had issues, obviously, you know, for a period of time that it all comes to a head, and you eventually make a decision to say, as adults, we will be better parents for our children if we just remain friends. And that's it. We had 16 amazing years together, me and my wife. Do you know what I mean? And I think that you look at how many people last that long, you know, 16 years and ups and downs. And, you know, she caught the wrong end of my career as well, bless her. You know, she was the one that dragged me out of the gutter when I was like, knee hanging off, career's done. She's the one that picked me back up and was like, give me the belief and the strength to kind of go, get yourself back out there. I believe in you. Even today, when I'm coming to this, she's like, don't wear that. You know, go in there, chest held high, you know, go and do what you got to do. She's a great woman.
How easy was, or how difficult was that decision to actually be like, all right, cool, this isn't or hasn't worked? And because it's easy to kind of like sleepwalk into 30, 40 years. How difficult was that decision to be like, all right, cool, this has run its course?
But it was her decision, and it was one that I just had to accept. You know, I think if it was up to me, I mean, I think a lot of men are like this. I'd probably be prepared to be unhappy for the rest of my life if I had my kids in it. You know, if I could wake up with my kids every day, I'm quite happy to sacrifice.
That was my dream.
This has gone like
happiness.
a deep
No,
filthy,
no,
bro.
no,
This is right.
deep.
No,
It's
bro,
deep.
everything's landing.
Better help.
Trust me, bro.
Not you.
No, this is not. I hear that.
We should talk off cam, all of us. I'll tell you.
No, I
mate.
think like it's a man thing though, isn't it? I think a lot of men, you know, look, relationships are what they are, and they have highs, they have lows, and you know, people cheat. You know, some people do, some people don't, but you figure a lot of things out. But the reality is, you know, we both were probably in a position where we were like, are we really happy? And I think from her side of things, she'd ran the course more than probably me, but I was much more happy to kind of go, I'll be unhappy if I can stay in this house with you and these kids. And it just wasn't, it wasn't to be for her. So we kind of went our separate ways, and that is that.
Bruv, I just want to say, and I know the boys are probably feeling the same, but thank you for your honesty today. It's been refreshing, guys. Trust me, man. Big up you, man. And I've been a supporter since I nutmegged you. I didn't even say that, see? I didn't even say that back in the day. Did I say? No, I've been a supporter of you since you got into the first team, all the way since I think it was your first commentary on TV that I remember that was like pucker, as I would call it. And you're just wicked, man. You probably was the air and you didn't want it though, but you are mustard and you will get back to where you need to get to.
I appreciate that, Steve, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, nah, love for pulling up, man.
Sorry, I just want to say one more thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I just want to say one more thing.
Go.
I just hope that from this situation, you've actually taken on board everything.
I think yes. Yeah.
Nah, but do you know what it is? With Mandem, it takes long to realise what they've got themselves into. Do you get what I'm saying? Until they're in the situation. So I just hope you've taken on your advice for yourself. Because it's easier to give advice.
Young as you only signed today. You only signed today.
I respect he tried though.
Yeah,
he tried. You tried.
I love it.
I respect it.
And he said it's serious. I just hope.
I respect it.
No.
I respect you
I
tried.
tried the thing. Maybe the nerves got the best of me.
You gave it a go.
However, you know my drift.
I know what
You
you're
get
saying.
it?
I know
But
what
I
you're
just
saying.
hope you're on the...
I am. Don't worry about that. I am.
Can't even say it, man. Man said I hope you're on the...
Nah, but all jokes aside, Jermaine, love for pulling up, my guy.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Jermaine. Genius right now.
Thank you.
Subscribe to Patreon to get early access to this week's show and exclusive behind the scenes. Like, comment, subscribe. Filthy fellas, you're done now.